You know, your GM's going to have a talk with his son.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Marc Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this NFL Draft Thursday. Oh, we're doing this. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. We wake up on an NFL Draft Thursday, and all 32 teams still have their first-round picks, something that has never before been the case. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
Good morning, David. I'm doing well, and I'd like to welcome back all of our audience that took off a few months between football season and the draft. We are Miller and Moulton, still at it, 6 to 10 weekdays. And we'll be here with you tomorrow to discuss what happened in the draft, and on Monday to talk about what happened over the weekend in the draft, and then we'll catch up with you sometime around August.
Well, wait a minute. We're doing hockey and hoop and baseball. And
I'm not talking to the sports fan. I'm talking to the football fan.
Gotcha.
You know, football.
Right. No, I understand. And it's been long enough until now. And heck, there's still another month or so till they're at the midway point of their drought. I mean, there's still 130 or so days away to the start of the NFL season at the very least. But it's NFL Draft Thursday. They're going to do it in Green Bay. I'll be very curious to see how this goes. There's not a ton to do there. It's a city that is overflowing when the Packers play, and there's 80 or so thousand at Lambeau. The draft lately has been bringing crowds 2 and 3 times that. So I'll be very curious. I know there aren't enough hotel rooms in Green Bay. Appleton's about 20 minutes away. I wonder how many people are staying an hour away in Milwaukee. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm very curious about that. I think that this is a fascinating choice.
What is it? They actually held a draft in Wisconsin. I want to say it was like 1939, 1940. They held one in Milwaukee at a hotel. That hotel is still there. It is now the Hilton in downtown Milwaukee. So it is the second draft, I believe, to take place in the state of Wisconsin. So cheese curds for everybody. Let's get after it. And hopefully we see either a trade early or an unusual pick early to set the draft off.
Most pundits, reporters, talking heads, whatever you want to refer to them as, believe that the draft is going to start with the Jags at 5, that the first 4 picks seem locked in. Cam Ward, Heisman Trophy winner, number 2, Abdul Carter, number 3, and then the tackle from LSU, Will Campbell at 4. Travis Hunter, obviously, being the Heisman Trophy winner. But that seems to be everyone's consensus top 4, and they believe that the draft is going to begin with the Jags at 5, and what direction will they go?
A lot of talk that they're going to take Genty, the running back. Yesterday, there were plenty of reports out in the day prior, or I guess late in the day prior, that perhaps the Bears were talking to move up to 4 to get Genty from the Patriots. So that would be the first big move that would displace what David was talking about with the draft starting with the Jags if someone goes up to get Genty ahead of the Jags at 5.
Or is the first big move going to be going to Jacksonville at 5, that the Jags are just drumming up interest because we know Vegas has been very interested in Genty, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see how it plays out. What is it? Do we have a 7:30, 8 o'clock start tonight? When's the draft?
That's a great question, David. I know the draft's tonight. I mean, I'm prepared for the draft. I got my sheet so I can keep track so we're ready for tomorrow. But it probably would behoove me to find out when this damn thing starts tonight. I know it's on 74 networks.
Right.
I mean, that I am aware of.
And I think for one more year, the current networks have the draft, but the draft is up for bid. Other networks want in on the draft. So that'll be interesting going forward to see whether or not it remains on the ESPN family and NFL network, or whether or not one of the others, Fox, NBC, or the Amazons of the world, whether they're going to get their hands on the draft.
8 p.m. tonight for the draft. Right at 8.
8 p.m.? Okay.
Yes.
Jags at 5. Dolphins at 13. Lately, I keep seeing a corner back of some kind to the Dolphins at 13. I want to go offensive line, personally, if I'm sticking at 13, if I'm the Dolphins. But
where? Guard?
Best one on the board.
Best one on the board.
Yeah. Our line's not good enough. We need as many quality linemen as possible. Now, if I was Miami, I'd trade out. If there is somebody wanting to move up, for Loveland, say, the second tight end, if I'm Miami, I'd get out. I have no problem doing that. Even though Miami already has 10 picks, they have a lot of needs. So I'd have no problem moving down. Like, if Denver wanted to move up from 20, if I'm Miami, I could move down. That'd still work for me. But Miami at 13, Tampa Bay at 19. Roy Cummings is going to join us in a couple hours. I'm curious where the Bucs are going to go. For the longest time this month, Mark, Tampa Bay was associated with a defensive player. Lately, I've seen the Bucs in many a mock draft linked to a wide receiver. I'd rather go get a defensive player personally, but especially since, I think Evans has still 2 more years and they kept Godwin, correct?
They did. So I'm with you. The linebacker from Alabama could be there when Tampa drafts. I would imagine tomorrow the Bucs are going to go defensive backfield because they've interviewed 74 different corners as this is going on. But linebacker, edge for the Bucs, I think would be the smart pick. But you're right. We've seen one of the receivers. I've seen McMillan associated with them if he's still around at 19. So the kid from Missouri. So we shall see what direction the Bucs go in, because the receiver run, there's not a lot in the first round. So it'll be interesting to see, if indeed they take a receiver, how many teams that causes to jump at that position.
Vikings at 24 only have 4 draft picks, so they seem to be a place where a team could want to trade back into the first round, because Minnesota could certainly use the resources. Mark, based on past precedent, the Texans at 25 will move up in some way, shape, or form. Nick Caserio has made a boatload of trades since becoming the general manager of the Texans. I believe this is his 5th draft, and he has been very aggressive. Remember 2 years ago when he made the deal so that he could pick 2nd and 3rd in the draft. So, do the Rams draft their quarterback of the future at 26?
Or does someone trade with them or in front of them to go get their quarterback late in the first round?
And I believe the Commanders only have a handful of draft picks. So at 29, is that another place where at around 11 o'clock tonight, some team with an early 2nd round pick is looking to get back in all likelihood, to take a quarterback?
The Commanders only have 5 picks, a 1st, 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 7th. So they are obviously, along with the Vikings, 2 teams you want to pay attention to. Seattle with the most picks in the top 100. They have 5 picks in the top 100. They could go in a multitude of different directions with the draft, because they possess as much solid draft capital as anybody in this year's draft.
And in the most recent mock draft that I read, Seattle traded out of the first round, and the Giants moved back in at 18 to take their quarterback to get ahead of the Steelers. So we'll see what happens. What do you want to put the trades at? 3.5 or 4.5?
I think 3.5.
All right.
I think 3.5. I don't think that there will be 5 trades in the first round. I think there could be 4, but I don't see 5 trades tonight, David. I really do not.
Well, I'll go over, and I'll even go over 4.5. I won't go any higher than that, just because I think some teams may maneuver late. And you usually get lucky. You get teams that maybe move up 2 spots, and that still technically counts as a trade.
No doubt. And, back to what Miami is doing, they could be playing that tight end with the team that's drafting right behind them. Denver may want to come up to 13. Indianapolis may need to go 1 spot. I mean, there are plenty of ways for Miami to attack this draft if they want to trade out of that spot, particularly the point you make. If Warren's gone and Loveland's the only tight end left, Indianapolis has been associated with the tight end for a while. Denver needs a skilled guy. Denver doesn't have a lot of draft capital in this year's draft. If Denver's going to move up, that means they're giving away 2026 draft picks. It's the only way they're moving up, David.
I think the Broncos can hold tight and get a really good running back at 20. I think they might be able to get whoever they view as the 2nd best running back in the draft if they have Genty 1. I think there's a decent chance another running back does not go before Denver at 20. And whether, they take the kid from North Carolina or they take Travion Henderson from Ohio State, I think if they have limited draft capital, they don't have to give it up, and they can still get a contributor from day one at the offensive skill position. But it's considered a weak draft. It's considered a draft with not a lot of star power. Consensus is that basically the guy you take at 8, you could take at 22. And the guy you take at 22, you could take at 42. So it's one of those. It's an offensive and defensive lineman draft, but it's tonight.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Marc Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
No one's given up a 2 for Williams. And that's what they would take because they'll get a 3 in compensation next year. So it's got to be a 2. There are a lot of rumors, but I don't see them trading him based on that. That's cool, Ryan. I'm glad you got to see Ellie Dela Cruz. That's awesome. Good for you for doing that. Way to go. Ones I talk to aren't happy.
Roy is happy with the Cubs. We've been incommunicado about that.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, starting 5 in a little more than 15 minutes time. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We'll head to New York. Giants at 3, Jets at 7. Giants a prime candidate to trade back into the first round as well. Marc Malusis to talk about the Giants and the Jets. I mean, that's if we can get them to not talk about the 2 first-place baseball teams in New York City. I mean, they'll pay attention to this draft for about 3 hours. And then, trust me, the New York metropolitan area will go right back to the Yankees and Mets.
And the Knicks.
Well, yes. They're angry at them right now, but yes.
But I mean, the draft in the New York market, David's got to be 4th. Baseball, basketball draft.
Totally. So, they'll humor the NFL for a couple more days. But, yeah. But Marc Malusis to join us, get his thoughts on what the Giants and Jets will do, should do. That's coming up in a little more than an hour. Roy Cummings, who's a happy guy because his Cubs are in first. And, oh, yeah, he covers the Bucs. We'll talk about what Tampa Bay should do at 19. And JP Shadrick will join us at the beginning of the bonus hour to talk about the Jags, which is apparently they're on the clock, according to everyone who's covering the draft. The first 4 picks are in. The Jags are on the clock at 5. Okay.
If the first 4 picks are in, David, let's hope they're actually in. And teams don't wait their allotted 12 minutes to walk the card up and we get this sucker moving. Even though I know that we won't, because they'll be instructed by ESPN to take the entire time so that we can have more talk about Shador Sanders.
Yeah, who's watching the draft who's not familiar with Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter? I mean, how many player profiles do we need to see? If you are watching the NFL draft, do you think we don't know who these top picks are? Do you think really we need to see more highlights? Like, wow, this Genty kid, never heard of him. Really? Yeah. Okay. So, Miller and Moulton. Some news in the last 24 hours. Apparently, the Giants called the Titans a lot about, so what would it take to get the first overall pick? And no. And apparently, the Giants kept calling. No. What would it take to get the first overall pick? Okay. And Mark, you said something right before we went on the air.
Well, David, kids say the darndest things. They really do. And you're aware of that. Father of a great daughter and now grandchild. You're aware that, kids say things. Your GM in New York's going to have a talk with his son. Because apparently on his Instagram account,
not apparently,
he posted a highlight reel for Jackson Dart and then set his account to private.
Right. Right.
Last year, he wanted Jaden Daniels.
Yes, he did. Now, I mean, so did we. But they couldn't get their hands on him. Hell, they couldn't get New England to give up the 3rd overall pick for Drake May. Certainly had no chance of getting the number 2 pick. And Chicago wasn't giving up number 1. So, yeah. Put a little highlight reel together of Jackson Dart.
And posted it on social media.
Right.
His father is the general manager of the New York Giants.
Correct. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Dad, can I have the keys to the car? No.
No. You're grounded.
Give me your phone.
You're grounded to your 23. What are you talking about? Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, so far, I like the kid's talent evaluation at the quarterback position.
Better than the father's.
Right. Big 1-for-1 with Jaden Daniels there. But what are you doing, dude? I mean, we get it. You've got sources. Your sources better than most of the NFL's reporters' sources. Got it. What are you doing? Remember when Berman doing the draft, he would talk about the cab driver in Buffalo?
Right.
Okay. Well, I was talking to the Buffalo cabbie again. All right. Blah, blah, blah. And pretty sure that the cabbie was the general manager of the Bills. But, Berman had some fun with it. This kid's he's got to figure this out. Either that or he's auditioning to get hired by another team's front office. And, maybe Howie Roseman and the Eagles hire him, at 12 or whatever.
So there's that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, we could have a couple of different poll questions today about the draft if we wanted to. We could just do an over-under on first-round trades and let all of you who geek out on the draft answer. And then we could ask how many quarterbacks are going to go in the first round. Because we know that a quarterback's going to go first overall. That's the one we know. After that, if you start reading through mock drafts, 2, 3, and sometimes 4 quarterbacks have gone in the first round.
Yes.
Because you have Sanders, obviously, who's gone anywhere in mock drafts from 3rd to 9th to 21st to not being selected at all in the first round. And some of the drafts that don't have him selected in the first round have Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe both being selected in round 1 instead of Shadrick Sanders. So it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3, and the possibility exists for 4 quarterbacks to be selected tonight. I think it will be 3. I don't think Milroe is going to go in the first round. That's my gut. But I don't know if you're a team and you can stash Milroe and not play him because there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make him an NFL quarterback. But there's no quarterback in the draft that has his athleticism. Nobody. No. Hell, there might not be 5 people in the draft that have that young man's athleticism.
Hell, most of the guys he threw to at Alabama didn't have his athleticism. So I'm going to say 4, believe it or not, because I think somebody's going to trade in between 30 and 32 to take Milroe, to stash him, that the extra year may be needed because he's going to need it for development.
So we'll get a couple of draft poll questions up there. We obviously have other things to talk about today that are not NFL draft related.
We do?
Yeah, you're damn right we do.
Just kidding.
I can't believe we haven't. We've had 2 segments. I haven't been able to talk about the Av Stars game yet. Haven't been able to talk about the Heat and what we were wondering about Hero. He played his tail off last night trying to win that game for the Miami Heat, who go down 0-2 in the series. And Jimmy Buckets, how long is he going to be out for? And did that turn the tide in the series between the Warriors and the Rockets? We'll catch you up with everything you may have missed from yesterday. They even played baseball. The starting 5, it's next.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has the look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Marc Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
Marc
sound.
Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh, sorry about that, Johnny Mac. That's upsetting.
All right, I've got 2 poll questions up. I have a third about ready.
Wow. Okay.
The over-under on trades, the quarterbacks. What position should the Miami Dolphins take with their first-round pick? Cornerback, offensive line, defensive line. Should I just leave it at that? Or other?
I would put DL/LB, but
All right.
yeah, Tampa's got to play a lot tougher tonight. They got to be much tougher along the walls. Outside of that, like 10, 12-minute stretch in the first period, I thought Florida got to every puck when they needed to.
I've got a 4th one ready.
Oh my goodness. What in the world
If
is that?
you were the Jacksonville Jaguars, who would you select with the 5th overall pick? Ashton Genty, Mason Graham.
Okay. Just check your spelling. Yes, Feeney. Wischusen is their number 2 play-by-play guy. So he is.
Check your spelling. Just check your spelling.
Well, I just
check your spelling.
I may have 14 poll questions today. I'm just going to keep going.
You are just on a roll.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Marc Malusis will join us 1 hour from now. Roy Cummings in our 8 a.m. Eastern hour. JP Shadrick to start our bonus hour on this NFL Draft Thursday. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. My co-host Marc Miller is having what we like to say is an out-of-body experience here in the first hour of the show. What has gotten into you?
What do you mean what's gotten into me? It's NFL Draft Day.
You've posted more poll questions in the last 2 commercial breaks than you have all week, than you do most weeks.
I mean, I can delete them if you want.
No, I just explained to our audience that you have got the fever.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things. First off, how many trades will happen in the first round tonight? Under 3.5, over 3.5. That's the number that I have set.
Okay.
David's already said he's going over. How many quarterbacks will be taken in the first round of tonight's draft? 1, 2, 3, 4. What position should the Miami Dolphins take with their first round pick? Corner, O-line, D-line / linebacker, other. And basically, we go to the Jags. Who should they take with the 5th overall pick? Ashton Jeanty, the running back from Boise, or Mason Graham, the stud D tackle from Michigan? Haven't even gotten to my Bucs question yet.
Well, please, I'm on question 3 right now, answering and retweeting. So slow down there, will you? So, by the way, 4 on the quarterbacks for me, because I think that somebody's trading back in for Milroe very late in the first round. Offensive line for the Dolphins is where I think they should go. And if I were the Jags, I would go Mason Graham. I mean, they've got ATN and they've got Tank Bigsby. And I think the problem with both have had fumbling issues, but I think the bigger problem is blocking issues. You know, the Jags are not a good team at the point of attack. Mason Graham's a big guy in the middle of the defensive line. They need him. I don't know that they need Jeanty. Jeanty better be Barkley.
I think there's a need for Jeanty because if he is as special as people think, you don't want to pass on someone like that. However, I'm with you, David. If I were the Jags, I'd be very interested in hearing what the Bears had to say. Because at 10, they can get a plug-and-play offensive or defensive lineman. For certain.
I mean, they might be able to get Mason Graham. I don't think he'd fall below Carolina at 8, but still. So I'm with you, Mark. If I'm the Jags, I'd be willing to move down to 10 and go from there. But so 4 poll questions. 1, 2, 3,
now.
4 poll questions. That's in the baseball hour, the first hour of the show. Goodness knows what follows in the final 3 hours of the show. Right now, what's on deck is
the starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting 5.
Little more than 13 hours from now, the NFL draft gets underway in Green Bay. The Tennessee Titans on the clock. The thought is that folks know who Tennessee, Cleveland, the Giants, and the Patriots are going to take 1 through 4, and the draft really begins with Jacksonville at 5. We shall see 8 Eastern tonight. Chargers and Lions will be facing off in the Hall of Fame game on July 31st. That'll be on NBC. By the way, neither one of these teams have played in this game in over 30 years. Speaking of the Lions, they also extend safety Kirby Joseph through the rest of the decade. The 4-year extension at a little more than $21 million a year. 4 for 86 makes him the highest paid safety in the league. Hall of Fame defensive tackle Steve McMichael passed away yesterday. ALS the cause at the age of 67. Last night, Tyler Lockett, formerly of the Seahawks, now with the Tennessee Titans. 1 year, $4 million, could earn a couple million extra with incentives. And one other football note, largely football, although it does pertain to other sports. Remember when we were talking to Amanda Kristovich yesterday about the future of college athletics, and one of the issues that we got into was this resolution they're trying to put together, and the fact that the colleges and the conferences want to do away with the walk-ons. They want roster limits, and everybody on the roster will be getting compensated. Well, the judge overseeing the $2.8 billion antitrust lawsuit said she is not going to approve the settlement unless they find a way to resolve the roster limit dispute. Either change the rule or at the very least grandfather in everyone who's involved in college athletics at this point in time until their eligibility is done. But I mean, she holds the cards here. And the other conferences were meeting last night, and they got their lawyers at work. They could meet and talk to their lawyers all they want. She has said, I will sign off on this settlement if you guys resolve the roster limit dispute. To give you an example, the current plan would limit football to 105 players. And you're going, well, there are 85 scholarships. Yeah. Do you know what the average college football team had? You know how many players they had in their program last year? Division I college football team, 128. So that'd be 23 walk-ons and preferred walk-ons. That would be gone. Times it by $1.25. That's just football. Federal judge has drawn her line in the sand and said, deal with it. NBA playoffs. No Jason Tatum for the Celtics. Physical series continued in Boston. But Jaylen Brown with 36 points and 10 rebounds, stepping up as the guy, outdueled Paolo, who went for 32 and 12 himself. Boston won but did not cover against Orlando. We urged you to take the 10.5 last night, 109-100. So Cleveland hits 11 threes in the second quarter alone, an NBA record. The Heat were down 17 at the half and cut it to 2 with 4.5 minutes to go. The problem is Cleveland hit their threes down the stretch. They ended up with 22 threes, just under 50% from beyond the arc. Donovan Mitchell with 30. Tyler Hero with 33. But the Cavs are up 2 spit on the Heat, 121-112. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler injured on a dirty play. Dirty play.
Yeah, he got undercut. There's no two ways about it.
Viciously undercut while completely off the ground by multiple feet. I mean, this is the type of thing you'd see a defensive back do to a wide receiver up in the air. He landed hard on the floor, did not return. Houston got 38 from Jalen Green in a 109-94 win. That guy needs to be suspended. That's a dirty play that cannot be explained away. He wasn't pushed, have no idea what he was thinking or doing, but he took out Jimmy Butler, and it sure looked intentional. 3 playoff games tonight: Knicks in Detroit, OKC in Memphis, Denver in LA to take on the Clippers. By the way, Denver and the Clippers get the NBA TV treatment tonight.
Yeah, for those of us that have cut the cord and gone to YouTube TV, it was great that the Heat game was on NBA TV, but see, local cable can still do the first round, so NBA TV's broadcast was blacked out locally.
They think this is the last year that local TV is going to be able to do the first round. They think in the new TV deal, national from day one.
Good.
NHL
games because they're blacked out
totally
in the playoffs.
It's absurd. Ridiculous. Caps survive again. They're up 2-1 late. Canadians hit the post with 40 seconds to go to tie it. Caps with an empty netter win it 3-1. They're up 2 spit in that series. Colorado has largely outplayed Dallas, but they've blown 2 third-period leads the last 2 games and then lost in overtime. Landeskog, their captain, who hadn't played in 34 months, suited up last night. He didn't do much. Dallas ties it in the third, wins it in OT. Tyler Seguin, the game winner. Beautiful goal, full speed. Uses his left skate to field the pass and kick it over to his stick and then goes top shelf. Whew. That's a goal scorer's goal. Dallas 2-1 in overtime. They lead the series 2-1. And the Kings, for the second straight game, scored 6 goals against Edmonton. Adrian Kempe in 2 games has 3 goals and 4 assists for LA. He had 2 goals and 2 helpers last night. Kings with 3 power play goals. They're up 2-0 on the Oilers. They won last night 6-2. Rangers extend the contract of general manager Chris Drury and Cal Clutterbuck, who actually holds the stat of having delivered more hits than any other player in NHL history. Over 4,000 hits. He retired. Baseball. Mark, over under 8,000 in Miami for the third game, a 1:00 game against the Reds yesterday. What are you going with?
Well, first off, you changed the over-under from yesterday at the end of the show to now. It was 9,000 yesterday. I went under.
Right.
I'm going to hedge my bet. I'm going to go over 8,000, still under 9,000.
Under it is 65-75. Wow. Yes. Oftentimes the day games do more. In this case, it did over 1,000 less. And the Marlins saw the 3-game winning streak snapped. Reds won 5-2. Rays with a nice win in 11 innings in Arizona last night, despite the fact that Corbin Carroll hit 2 homers for the D-backs. Tampa won at 7-6. Yankees got 7 innings of terrific pitching from Carlos Rodon. He didn't give up an earned run in a 5-1 win over Cleveland. By the way, the Red Sox are a game and a half back. They lost to Seattle 8-5. Seattle, the game back of Texas. The Nats beat the Orioles again with a sac fly in the 8th, 4-3. Mets have won 7 in a row. They have the best record in baseball. What in the wide world of sports is going on at Queens? Mets 4-3-10 over the Phillies. They sweep the series. They're up 5 already. Cubs beat the Dodgers again. Pete Crow Armstrong with a homer and 4 RBIs. 7-6 Northsiders. Tigers held the Padres to 2 hits in a 6-0 win. Giants a game back in the West with a 4-2 win over Milwaukee. Atlanta got a 3-run homer in the 8th from Eli White to beat St. Louis 4-1. Astros swept the Jays 3-1. Houston's just a game back. And Mark, they're not even doing 10,000 in Sacramento in a stadium that holds 14,000. A's beat Texas last night before 98-06. 5-2. Pirates held the Angels to 2 hits and a 3-0 win. Twins double up the White Sox 6-3. Rockies and Royals postpone rain. They'll do a double dip today.
Quick question for everybody listening, just to play at home. We'll answer in a moment. Who has the worst record in baseball right now? The White Sox or the Rockies? We'll be back to you in a moment.
It's very close. I've got my guess. I don't know the answer. PGA Tour, it's the team composition this week. It's Zurich in New Orleans. Rory and Shane Lowry are defending champs, and they're back. By the way, you know what's interesting? You don't have to play the same ball. You know, because so many guys play different golf balls. They actually did this in which you don't have to play the same ball. That's highly unusual. LPGA, it's a major. Used to be the Dinah Shore. It's called the Chevron. It's outside of Houston. Nelly Corda's your defending champ. LIV, they'll be in action tomorrow in Mexico City. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories, and you can play a different golf ball than your partner here on Miller and Moulton.
And for those of you wondering, the Chicago White Sox are 5-19. That's a 208 winning percentage. The Rockies are 4-18. That's a 182 winning percentage. Your Colorado Rockies are the worst team in baseball.
All right. That competition could go late into the year.
2 100-loss teams?
Oh, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Question is, are the Marlins going to join them and make 3? Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yes, okay, music. We had it in the starting five. Yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Marc Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this NFL Draft Thursday. Also the final Thursday of April. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Marc Malusis with an early wake-up call from us will join us in about 35 minutes live from the New York metropolitan area to talk Giants and Jets, picking at 3 and 7, and then do the Giants trade back in for their quarterback, as most expect them to? And if so, who?
And if it's not Jackson Dart, where is the GM's son getting his information from?
Right. Or do the Giants just get outmaneuvered and they wanted it to be Dart, but somebody beat them to it? Because now, if you're the Saints or the Browns or whoever was thinking of trading back in for Jackson Dart, well, you certainly know who the Giants' choice is, thanks to the GM's son on social media. Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Marc Miller with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 poll questions in the first 30 or so minutes of the show.
And I feel badly because I have not put up a Tampa Bay Buccaneers poll question yet. I mean, I've done one for the Jags. I've done one for the Giants. I've done 2 overall on the draft, but the team that I probably like the most in the state of Florida, I didn't do anything for.
Bucs drafting 19th. Do they draft a wide receiver, which many a recent mock draft has them doing? Because while their 2 wide receivers can still play, they're beginning to approach getting up there in age. Godwin overcoming injuries. Evans having already played, 11 years in the league? So do they go wide receiver or do they go defense? They could use a pass rusher. They could use people to cover wide receivers.
I mean, they've been associated with linebackers, edge rushers, corners, safeties, and wide receivers. So what the Bucs are going to do remains to be seen. Could the Bucs be in a spot, David? Because they do have needs, and at 19, that's 2 spots ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're interested in getting a quarterback ahead of Pittsburgh, if you're the Giants and want to move up, you have the capital, I believe, for the Giants or Cleveland to get to 19. Will Tampa trade out of 19?
Well, the Bucs also, I believe, with only 6 draft choices. So Jason Light might be wanting to acquire a few more resources in this draft. And Mark, see, to me, it could be a small deal. Like Denver's at 20 and the Chargers are at 22. Both are looking for offensive skill player help. If by chance someone is falling, do the Chargers call Tampa at 19 and say, we need to get ahead of Denver? What's it going to take? We want to move up 3 spots, and you only move back 3 spots. So a good chance, okay, we're going to take an offensive guy. Denver's going to take an offensive guy. If you're looking for a defensive guy, there's a good chance your guy's still going to be on the board. So I'm wondering if it's something like that. I'm wondering, there's a lot of talk, even though Detroit doesn't have a lot of picks, about Detroit and Green Bay's needs maybe being similar. And do the Lions need to get ahead of the Packers? Well, where can you go? Packers are at 23.
And I've seen the Lions connected with Seattle in a trade, trying to go get an edge rusher to complement Hutchinson on the other side. So there are plenty of teams now that we're hearing about that want to trade up. Probably should have, more I think about it, probably should have set that over under at 4.5, not 3.5. Because the one team we've not even mentioned, and I don't know what capital they have. I don't think they have a lot of capital to do it. But if the Chiefs want to get an offensive lineman and a run on tackle start, what are the Chiefs going to do?
Well, the 3 tackles are going to go probably in the first 10 to 12 spots. And then it's just a matter of, do the Chiefs give up the ghost trying to get a plug-and-play offensive lineman, or do they see a lull in the second tier of offensive linemen and they think they have an opening to go grab somebody? But yeah, the Chiefs have indicated this is not the year for us to trade up. We don't have the draft capital. Well, you need a plug-and-play offensive lineman, preferably a tackle. Patrick Mahomes turns 30.
And is Josh Simmons, who Pat Kerwin really liked on the show yesterday, is he still going to be there at 30?
Because he got injured at Ohio State. But Pat on the show said he might turn out to be the best tackle in the draft. And yet he'll probably be the 5th or 6th taken. So, but we'll see. I mean, there's always a lot of talk before the drafts. And to me, I know in a way you asked this question by putting up the how many quarterbacks are going to go in the first round, but it is remarkable now to hear how many NFL reporters, pundits, what have you, that are literally putting their name on, I don't think Shador Sanders is going to be taken in the first round. Okay.
And that comes, not necessarily on the heels, but a little bit on the heels of the report yesterday from the anonymous assistant coach who absolutely buried Shador Sanders. Buried him. Said his interviews were awful, said his body language was awful, and then followed up everything he could say badly about Shador Sanders, his character, and followed it up with, and he can't play either.
Right. Yep. He's entitled. He's got a bad attitude. His teammates don't like him. Oh, yeah, and he sucks. Okay. So are you saying you're not going to take him in the first round? Is that what you're saying? Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So some of the intrigue with the draft, which is in 13 hours.
And some of the other intrigue going on last night in hoop, Jimmy Butler gets undercut, taken out in the first quarter, not to return. What does that mean for Jimmy Buckets the rest away in the Warriors? And if you're watching that series and you're paying any attention, when they picked up Jimmy Butler, what he did for that team in so many different areas was staggeringly good. From the team defense standpoint and their efficiency on that side of the ball, losing him's obviously a big deal. And I don't know if he's out, is that it for Golden State?
I don't think they can win the series without him. Here's my thing. If he's going to miss both home games, can they get a split? Can they survive long enough to get him back and steal the series? I was impressed that Draymond especially kept his composure last night. All right. I thought that game was going to escalate.
And he did get AT for arguing with officials, but didn't do anything over the line physically.
Right. Also, you could just tell how different the game is today than in past years. In past years, at some point, Mark, that basketball game would have become a little bit of a hockey game in this sense. Kerr was down double figures most of the night. They did make a fourth quarter run, like a 9-0 run that cut it to either 9 or 11, but it lasted a moment. Basically, the game was over, and it was over early. Houston up 10 after 1, 14 at the half, 16 after 3. Well, Mark, it wasn't that long ago that you then go pretty deep into your bench and you send one or two guys out there, and they're going to mess with some people. And I know it's basketball, but hey, all right. They found a way to undercut our guy.
Yeah, that's an elbow in the head to your guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
there's something coming typically, and that didn't happen. And
No.
you're right about Draymond. That's a lot for him to not retaliate.
And I'm glad, obviously, because they need him. And they may need him more the next few games than ever before. But I was impressed, surprised even.
And for those of you that want old school basketball, well, Houston did some of that last night. Orlando's done some of that in the first two games of their series. They're playing an incredibly physical brand of basketball against the Celtics. It hasn't worked, but you know who's really enjoying the way that Orlando's playing the Boston Celtics? The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Don't know if anybody can play Boston as physically as Orlando has the first two games. Now they've lost them both, but they knocked Jason Tatum out of the series. He didn't play last night. First playoff game he's ever missed because he also took a hard fall to the floor in game one. And Al Horford, who's seen a lot in the NBA, thought that Orlando had stepped over the line in game one in how they were playing. Well, did you see Porzingis? I mean, it wasn't quite Karl Malone and Isaiah Thomas from back in the day when Karl literally took his elbow and intentionally just drilled it right into Isaiah's forehead as he was driving down the lane. But Porzingis had a big cut in the middle of his forehead last night.
Came back and shot the free throws all bloodied up.
Damn right.
And for those of you that like that, the Pistons play the same way they used to play right now. They're playing the Knicks tonight. And the Pistons have been very physical with the Knicks in that series as well. So the first round giving us in the NBA what we usually get, in the NHL's first round, David.
And giving us
get us to the Clippers and Nuggets, the NBA TV game. If you didn't know that, go find the clip of Barkley completely undressing his own network on air last night for showing Thunder Grizzly tonight instead of Nuggets Clippers.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Who made that decision? On air.
Yeah, well, not much the Chuckster can't get away with. But yes, the NBA playoffs, the style of play so far is what a lot of you who have soured on the NBA and you don't like it anymore, they're actually playing a lot closer to the way they did when you watched it. Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you're a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ambient Denver doesn't have the capital to go up that high. What ratings were half, Knicks? Ratings were half of what? I'm curious. Because the NBA ratings were up in the first weekend of the playoffs. Monster numbers. Monster numbers. Only thing that's down this year in television numbers is the National Hockey League.
In terms of playoffs. NBA was down 2% for the year.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Marc Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Marc Malusis will join us a little more than 15 minutes time to talk Jets and Giants, 2 top 10 picks in this draft, and one of those teams likely to trade back in and acquire their quarterback of the future, even though if the people acquiring him may not be there for his future. That's how it goes. Miller,
hey, David, I just want to let you know I was busy during the commercial break.
Uh-oh.
I got my Bucs poll question up.
Uh-oh.
That's 5. What position should the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take with their first-round pick? Wide receiver, edge, linebacker, or defensive back? And I know I could have split them up, but I didn't. Because I've seen a lot of corners and I've seen a safety associated with Tampa, so I just combined them.
Wow. I'm having trouble keeping up.
I'm not done yet. I haven't even had a baseball, basketball, or hockey question. And we've got game 2 basically this afternoon between the Lightning and the Panthers. My kind of hockey game tonight, David. 6:30 start for game 2 at Amalie.
Heck, you can get in 2 full periods before Cam Ward goes to the Titans. I mean, you might be able to get the whole game in, okay, before, the Jags are on the clock at 5, which is where most people think the draft begins.
6:30 tonight for the Panthers and Lightning.
That's to make up for the 8:50 puck drop in game 1. I mean, think about it. This game will be mid-third period by the time the game 1 had started.
Boy, they did it last night with Colorado and Dallas. I mean, that started at damn near 10 o'clock. I mean, that is 9 Central for people in Dallas watching. I mean,
right. Now, the game was in Denver, so it was Mountain Time. So it was, 10 to 8. But yes, I agree.
They're trying to make sure this is like college football. The hockey games are lasting in the playoffs a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the regular season game. There's a little more action. There's more scrums after the whistle. The game just takes a little bit longer in the postseason.
Yeah.
And they're trying to act as if they can complete these games in the same amount of time they did in the regular season, and they're holding start times of the second game so they can jam these double and triple headers down our throat on television.
And they're also jamming in a few more commercials and commercial breaks because it's the playoffs, so the games are starting a few minutes later than they normally do. So you add it up, and you're looking at 10 to 20 extra minutes that every game is taking compared to what it normally takes.
And this is something I don't get. And maybe you can just call me un-American for this stance. But when did we decide that we have to show the anthem for every damn game? That used to be something in hockey and basketball that we didn't see a lot of. We didn't see the anthem really until the final. And the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final. And at the All-Star game. That was time that the networks took their commercial break.
I would credit or blame social media. And I believe that this is coming directly from the leagues. Usually, when an anthem is shown, the league is strongly encouraging the network to televise the anthem, at least in the broadcast that I've been a part of. Okay, there's a nudge from the league at the very least. And Mark, I believe it's because some networks, some leagues have gotten criticism for not showing the anthem. There have been times in which it just feels as if, you know what, an anthem tonight might not be a bad thing to see, but in the most cases, we don't air the anthems, and certain networks and certain leagues have gotten in trouble on social media trouble, just a lot of negative press.
Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to think of the game because there was USA chants that broke out. I think it might have been right after Canada started booing our anthem. There was a game that was played, and
well, remember the Sugar Bowl this year?
Right, there it is.
You had the domestic terrorist incident that killed a few people in New Orleans within 24 hours of kickoff, and you had what was going on with the whole US and Canada thing, and ABC did not show the anthem before the Sugar Bowl and got destroyed for not showing it.
And like I said, it may be an un-American stance, and if it is, I apologize because I'm not un-American. As someone who did play-by-play for the number of years that I did, I have seen and heard the anthem more than any other song than I've ever seen or heard. I've seen some tremendous national anthems. I've seen some awful national anthems. But it's just, you're right. It's the pressure from social media and then the leagues to show it. But when a game's supposed to start at 8:30, and now it's not just the anthem. I mean, Tampa does a splendid job.
Yes.
With how they present the colors. They always bring a veteran out. They happen to, at game one, have a 99-year-old World War II vet. They honor him. The same lady sings the anthem at Lightning games now for several years. She's a retired Air Force, and I don't know what rank she was in, but she retired from the Air Force, so she has military background, and they do a tremendous job.
Yes.
It also takes about 5 minutes to bring everybody out, to make all the announcements, the applause that go with it, and that's just 5. Then they take a commercial break after. So that whole thing makes an 8:30 puck drop at minimum become 8:38. And that's not allowing the broadcasters to talk yet. And God knows the broadcasters have to talk a little bit.
But you're not going to get criticized for showing the anthem the way you're going to get criticized for not showing the anthem. And that's, how it's become, because you and I have done more radio than we've done television. But you and I we would sync up our commercial breaks with the anthem. I mean, how many times are you listening to a national broadcast on the radio, or even a local broadcast, if you know what I mean, and you hear the anthems? I mean, the anthem takes about $1.40. And so, usually your commercial breaks are a minimum 2 minutes. Oftentimes, since it's in the pregame, it's 2.5 to 3, and you just time it out. And when they're asking the crowd to stand, you're throwing it to break. And then this anthem can go for however long it goes, and the commercial break covers it, at least on radio.
I was always a big fan of my radio play-by-play days, is that if in a perfect world, if we came back to Home of the Brave and you potted up your crowd mic, you let the closing strains of the national anthem, and you came back on the closing strains of our national anthem, and we're ready to go. It's whomever and whomever. You set the game up. It gives you a good 30 seconds, and you get after it. But it's just when they're jamming 3 games or 2 games a night, and they're not starting the second game until the first game ends, this adds 10 minutes onto the broadcast.
The other thing that, and maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, but I also used to think that even when they showed the anthem, that they would show it once. Like they'd show it in Tampa once, and then they'd show it in Sunrise once. And that was it. Okay. And particularly in basketball also. Like, we'll do this for game 1 in the one location and then game 3 in the other. But all the other games in this series, we're not going to show you the anthem. But power of social media, Mark.
No, you're right. Because in hoop, what did we used to get? For those that remember, we'd get the whole starting lineups. We'd go to the public address announcer, and they'd go 5 for, back and forth, or all 5 on one team, and then they'd take a break because then it was the anthem, and you'd come back for the tip of the game. Miller and Moulton will check in with New York and see what the Giants and the Jets are going to do next. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no.
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Marc Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh, no doubt, Rose. I'm with you. It's just. Marc is out.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Marc Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Roy Cummings will join us then to talk the Tampa Bay Bucs. What are they going to do at 19? What should they do, in his estimation, at 19? JP Shadrick will join us at the top of the final hour of Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Make sure you go and vote in our poll questions. We've got 5 or 6 of them. They are all NFL draft related. Joining us now on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs, is Marc Malusis. He does the TV sports for Pix 11 in New York, and then he hosts shows on the legendary WFAN radio. You can follow Marc on X at Marc with a C, Malusis, Malusis. Marc, it's David and Marc. Good morning. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
David, Marc, good morning, guys. How are you? Happy draft day.
Yes. Now, we're kind of curious. We know how popular baseball is and, what a basketball city New York is. I mean, when you did the sports last night, the Yanks are in first, the Mets have the best record in baseball, and the Knicks are in the playoffs. I mean, when did you get to the draft?
I think it was like the third story because the Yankees and Mets both played in the afternoon. So that was going to be the lead. And it was nothing like newsworthy from the Jets and the Giants outside of like the rumors and innuendo. So it was the third story on the board. But listen, the Mets and the Yankees are huge stories. Mets have been fantastic to begin the season. Some of it I don't think is sustainable. Some of it I think is. As far as the Yankees go, obviously Judge leading the way. They've got their own issues, but not an overly great American League. But today is really going to be about 2 big topics. With both those teams having days off, it's going to be about the first round of the draft tonight, Giants 3rd, Jets 7th, and obviously the Knicks with a big playoff game in Detroit.
So when you look at the Giants, is it in your eyes locked that they're going to take Abdul Carter, and if they're going to get their quarterback, they will trade back into the first round? Or is there still the possibility at 3 the Giants could take a quarterback?
Yeah, well, listen, I'd be hard pressed to say nothing is possible. So could that happen? I guess it could. I think it's become more and more of a long shot as we've moved along in this process. I think at one point in time, Shador Sanders was right there. potentially of having being that selection at third overall. I don't think that's no longer the case. I think when you look at Tyler Shuck out of Louisville, Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss, Shador Sanders, the fact is Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this group. And we could debate years in terms of the quarterback class and how good is this class, right? The point being is, can you find a guy that can solve the solution, solve the quarterback, the most important position in the NFL for the next 10 to 12 years? That's what the Giants are trying to do. They've got a couple stopgap quarterbacks in Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. I think as this draft process has gone along, I think if you listen to Joe Shane, you look at him, what he did a year ago, I think he's going to stay true to his draft board. And I think if you poll every NFL team, they could differ on the strength of certain players or how they transition to the system that they play in the National Football League. Two best players in this draft are Hunter and Carter or Hunter. Put them in any order that you want. You might make the argument the third best player in this draft is Ashton Jeanty coming out of Boise State. If you're just looking at the cleanest players, yes, they're going to be great NFL players. We have no doubt. It doesn't matter the system that they play. And I think as this process has gone along, the Giants have said to themselves as an organization, we're here at the third overall pick. Let's not compound the problem, reach for a quarterback, stay true to our draft board, and draft a really blue chip edge rusher. Can never have enough. Pair him up with Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence up front, and their second-year defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen's going to have a lot to work with. So I'd be really at this stage sitting here, 12 and a half hours away from the opening round of the NFL draft. I'd really be surprised if it's anybody else other than Abdul Carter. If it's not Carter goes 2 overall, then it'll be Travis Hunter.
Are the Giants coming across as desperate in terms of trading back in for a quarterback in a bad quarterback draft class? I mean, if it's a bad class, shouldn't you sit it out? You mentioned they signed a couple of veterans. One they signed to a 2-year contract. The one they signed for a 1 and an option. I mean, are they coming across as a bit desperate here if they reach back in for a quarterback?
I think they'd be coming as desperate if they drafted a quarterback third overall. I don't think if you're looking at it and say, okay, well, Cam Ward would have been right with J.J. McCarthy a year ago, Shador Sanders and Tyler Shuck and Jackson Dart would have been, 6, 7, 8 on the list. The point being is, of those guys, which one do you think best fits what you want to try and do and what you want to accomplish? Brian Daboll is we can get into the debate of just how much he developed Josh Allen, or is Josh Allen just great, right? So, and I think he gets a little bit too much credit for the job that he did up in Buffalo. I think he's a great offensive mind, and I think he understands what he wants at the quarterback position. If they've targeted a guy, I don't think it's a reach to move back in to get a guy that you think can be the solution at your quarterback spot. I really don't, because, listen, you look at Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft. He ended up being the guy out in San Francisco with the 49ers, Tom Brady. There have been other guys that have not been drafted in the first round or have not been well thought of coming out of college to the point of being first-round picks, but ended up being, answers, solutions at the quarterback spot. Russell Wilson coming out of Wisconsin. So I don't think that's necessarily a reach. I think the definition of a reach would be the Giants tonight drafting Dart or drafting Shador Sanders, which I don't think is happening, but drafting either one of those two guys with the third overall pick.
If everything goes according to Hoyle, like we've talked about with the first 3 picks, and there's a lot of talk that Patriots would go offensive line. It could be the Jags with defensive line or running back. So the Jets sitting there at 7. Who are they hoping falls to them?
It's a great question. There's not been a lot of information coming out of Florham Park, and this is where I give Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn a lot of credit. And I really think it's Glenn making the choices. They hired him first, then they brought in Muji from Denver because of a previous relationship that they had. But, who has final say in terms of the choice, especially early on tonight? I get a sense that it's the head coach. Honestly, I think the Jets could go a lot of different ways. I think they can go Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State, who I think is probably a top 8 prospect in this draft. They could go Membu, the offensive right tackle out of Missouri. He's an instant starter. Plug him in. He addressed the left tackle position last year with Olu Fushanu out of Penn State. and then you've got your bookend tackles. Or they could go defensive line. Say, for argument's sake, the Jaguars go Ashton Genty with the 5th overall pick, and then all of a sudden you have a guy like Mason Graham sitting there out of Michigan, the guy that you never suspected was going to be sitting there. Could they go that route? Yeah. The thing is, I think it's going to be, one of those three positions. If you're asking me who I'd go with, I think I'd go with the tight end. I know, it's kind of I know Jet fans are going to harken back to, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 30 years ago when they drafted another, tight end out of Penn State in the first round. Didn't exactly work out. But I look at Warren, I look at his yards after catch, I look at his ability to impact the game in a lot of different ways. I don't think he is I would say soft tight end to where you can use him as a blocker as well. Big target, 6'6", 246 pounds, I believe he is. Coming out of the big, there's nothing not to like about him. And I think if you're sitting there with the Jets, yes, it doesn't address the area of the need, but I'm looking to draft great football players. And I think that Warren out of Penn State, I think he's a great football player. Do you get a sense they're going that way? I think he's on the board. I don't think he's out of the question. A lot of people believe they address the offensive line, but I would not be all that surprised if they go. I think it's one of those three. It's a defensive lineman or an edge rusher that they love. That's where I think the Jets go. I don't think it's a wide receiver. I think the Jets, if Genty's sitting there and some team wants to move up to get Ashton Genty, could the Jets move back? I could see that on the equation as well. But if you're asking me who they pick, I think probably the safest bet would probably be offensive line.
He's Marc Malusis, does the television sports for Pix 11 in New York, and then he hosts shows on WFAN radio. You can follow Marc on X, Marc with a C, Malusis, Malusis. And, let's just say they go with Warren. They've got Garrett Wilson. They've got Breece Hall. Now you put in a young tight end, Fields. He's got upside. He's got mobility. Now, all of a sudden, is this team moderately interesting?
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, I think it's going to be more about the coach than it was the quarterback the past 2 years. And I think what's refreshing is you guys, and a lot of people listening this morning will appreciate it. Glenn is really kind of the temperament of the coach he played for a part of his career, and that is Bill Parcells. Kind of no nonsense. I'm setting the tone. I'm setting a temperament for this team. I think the Jets will be better coached. They were so poorly coached the last 2 years. Are they interesting? I'm not a Fields guy. I understand the potential, and if he ends up being able to throw the ball better than he did in Chicago and Pittsburgh, here in New York with the Jets, then I'll be proven wrong. I know he's got a lot of talent. I know he's a two-way quarterback and can beat you with his legs. You got to throw in the National Football League, and I just don't think he throws the ball accurately enough. Now, you throw Warren into the mix, you've got Garrett Wilson, you've got Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, the second-year running back out of Wisconsin. Now, there's guys on this offense that could do something. There's no doubt. Do they need another wide receiver? For sure. Do I think then at the top of the second round the Jets would address offensive line? I think they probably would if they went with Warren out of Penn State. So I think it's intriguing now because of this great cultural shift and culture change down in Florham Park. A former Jet player getting a head coaching opportunity after success as defensive coordinator in Detroit. I think that's a positive. Clearly, they're being run differently now. It's not as leaky of a ship as it has been in the years gone by. And I think what Glenn is going to try and set a tone and a temperament for this Jet team is that we're not going to beat ourselves. We're going to be well coached. We're going to put this team also, as a coaching staff, put this team in the best possible position to win each and every week. And I think it's a little bit of a building process.
And, Aaron Glenn has said that it's a building process. What has impressed me from afar is that he's been able to, at least as you said, start to change that culture. Usually that starts from the top down. And when the owner's considered one of the worst in the sport, what do you think Glenn was able to do to at least, he can't tell the owner what to do, but he obviously has talked to the owner about how the culture has to be changed, and they've bought in. How does that happen with the head coach?
Well, I think it happens because you're desperate. So I think, listen, do I think Woody's a great owner? No. I mean, I don't. Do I think Woody gets in his way? Absolutely. Do I believe a lot of the stuff that was in The Athletic, those two pieces put together by Zach Rosenblatt and Diana Rossini? I do. But I think the Jets were desperate. I think the stuff with Saleh, the leaks in the building, the drama with Rodgers, everyone with McAfee, the poor game plan, the lack of the team being ready to play each and every week. I think you brought in a guy in Glenn that was not only a former player, a former area scout, the national scout, and worked his way up, right? And a guy that, has, knows, is good friends with Bill Parcells and, kind of worked his way to get this opportunity, understands New York, understands this marketplace, and is going to take this no-nonsense approach. The Jets that building needed to be fumigated. Do I think there's a time when Woody gets involved? Probably if it doesn't go right. That's when Woody decides to step in, and then he makes it even worse, right? That's just the way we have seen. The Jets have gone to playoffs 5 times in the last 25 years since he's owned the team. So it's not been the epitome of success. So I think Glenn is stepping in here to where he's going to be given a lot of freedom to run this thing as he sees fit because of everything that has transpired and how the Jets have been a laughingstock. They've been in the playoffs since 2010. It's 2025. And that is in a league in which it is defined by parity and that you can change the course of your organization any given year. To go 14, 15 years without making the NFL playoffs is very, very difficult to do, and the Jets have made it look easy.
It is the longest playoff drought in major North American sports right now. I believe it's 1 year longer than the Buffalo Sabres. So it is remarkable. Mark, thanks for making time for us. Have a great day, and hopefully we can catch up down the road.
Yeah, David, Mark, thanks for always having me, man. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the show.
Marc Malusis, you can see him on television if you're ever in the greater New York area. PIX, which is WPIX, but they call themselves Pix 11. There are 3 independent channels in New York, channels 5, 9, and 11. The Yankees were always on 11. The Mets were always on 9 growing up. Pix 11. They've had legendary sportscasters. Marc Malusis jumping in. He also does shows on WFAN radio. Follow him on X, Mark with a C, Malusis, Malusis.
I'm a small town guy. We didn't have independent stations. And when I first got cable, Detroit had Channel 50 was the independent station that had both the Pistons and the Wings. The Tigers were always on network, and they had a TV network throughout the state. But Channel 50, when we finally got that on cable, I don't know what was bigger, David, Channel 50 or MTV for me at that time.
Exactly. First cable we had those 3 independents. Also got the Philly independents. We got 17 and 29, and they carried all 4 Philly teams. So, Mark, I never had it better growing up, quite frankly.
Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
Marc Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, tadalafil, and Viagra, sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American-made, at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Morning, Roy.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I am good, my man. I am good. How's life?
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Glad to
You
hear
gotta
it.
be fired up. Your Cubs are off to a great start. Bounced the Dodgers
yeah.
a couple of times.
Yeah, for sure, man. Cubs are playing some exciting, fun baseball. That's for sure.
Yeah, sign me up for a Cubs-Dodgers NLCS right now if they're going to play games.
Hey,
like that.
wouldn't that be great? Yeah. I mean, they've already given us some epic games, so why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been good.
Lightning might be interested. Lightning need to. This is a big one tonight because they got steamrolled in that second.
They did. They did not look interested at all. I don't know what happened. I mean, Vasilevsky looked ordinary. The defense looked suspect. Didn't see much from the offense. That was not a Lightning performance for sure.
No, and I it was funny before the series. I said to David, I thought Getzel was the difference for Tampa. The way he scores playoff goals, power play goals, blah, blah, blah. David says faceoffs are the big thing. So here's the end of the first period. Getzel scores to tie it. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Barkov wins the draw late in the second or late in the first. They score that goal. I'm like, way to go, David. We're kind of, and then that ended quickly.
Yeah, sure did.
Florida just came out and
sure did.
And when you get down, typically, in the playoffs, you get down like that, you start getting more physical with the opponent. Florida just looks at you and says, bring it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're not going to beat Florida by trying to out-hit them. That's not going to happen.
No.
So they got to figure something else out. Interesting series, that's for sure. Very odd without Boston and the Rangers in it.
Oh, man. And no Pittsburgh. I mean, this is going to be ratings gold, right? Oh, boy.
Yeah, right. Just the opposite.
I mean, think about it. The 4 American Original 6 franchises are all out.
Yeah.
It's the first time since the Penguins came into the league that the Rangers, Bruins, and Penguins all missed the playoffs in the same year. You throw in Blackhawks and Wings, man.
Right. Ooh. I'll tell you what about the Blackhawks, though, man. I watched them a lot this year. That's going to be a fun team next year. I don't know how good they're going to be, but they got about 6 kids who were first or second round draft picks, most of them coming out of college, and they got some speed and energy, man. They could be fun.
Well, we saw what Washington turned it around within a year to get younger and faster and how much better that team is. So,
boy, I don't see any quitting Ovechkin. He could just keep going. He's like Yager over again. Yager 2.0.
Must be the Coca-Cola. It's just such a great story.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he looks like he's in our beer league.
Yeah, right.
Looks like you'd go down to the rec center at 8:00 on a Wednesday, and that guy looked like him. Shots a little different though.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. You guys talk much hockey on your show?
Yeah.
We do.
In fact,
Good.
we joke that based on the ratings, okay, there's probably the only show in America that talks more hockey, okay, is the NHL Network Radio on Sirius. But based on the ratings, we talk way too much hockey.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? The Nationals never talk about it. Rome, every once in a while,
right,
throws it a bone. But yeah, even yesterday, Colin Cowherd was, just dismissing the NHL and all its fans and everything else. And I'm like, you know what? The NBA ain't that much greater. And he spends 80% of his time in the NBA.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Marc Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home on this NFL Draft Thursday. Make sure you check out. We've got like 37 poll questions. Normally, we're lucky if we get one. Okay, we're channeling our inner Dan Lebitard, Mike Bianchi today. Mark is fired up, must have gotten a decent night's sleep because he's responsible for the poll questions, and he is just firing them out there.
They're easy. They make themselves up on draft day, David. There's a Bucs draft question. There's a Jags draft question. There's a Dolphins draft question. And then there's a couple of general draft questions.
And Roy Cummings joins us to talk the Bucs and the draft. When was your first Bucs draft?
Would it have to be 1999?
Okay.
I'm trying to remember who they drafted that year.
That was the year they went to the NFC title game.
Yeah, that's right. So it would have been the year after that because I started in at training camp that season. So it would have been the next year. And
they take the big offensive lineman from Florida?
Yeah, Kenyatta Walker. That might have been it. Yeah.
Okay. So
that sounds about right.
One of our poll questions is, and the Bucs will probably take, quote, best player on the board. But if they draft by need, well, the poll question is, what's their biggest area of need? Is it edge rusher? Is it safety corner? Is it linebacker? Is it still offensive line? Is it the wide receivers are getting old and they should draft one here? Just curious, what would your 2 cents be in the room tonight?
Any one of the above, because you're right. They certainly need an edge rusher. They need linebackers because they're getting old and ineffective. They need some wide receivers behind the top two and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who's hurt often. Certainly could use a guard. No question about that. The one spot I'd say that they're good at is running back. And you know what? You never know how long those guys are going to last. So they need everything, which is why this is a really interesting draft for the Buccaneers. It's hard to know what they're going to do. You could literally throw a dart at a board and say, okay, we're going to pick that. Whatever the best player at that position is, that's what we're going to take. If it's safety, great. If it's cornerback, great. Tight end, you know what? That kid Taylor at LSU, that wouldn't be a bad pick either because this is an offense that could use a little bit more at tight end. Sure, Cade Otton's been good, but you know what? Go out and get a generational tight end. This kid Taylor may be that. So who knows? You could get a lot of anything out of this draft for these guys, and you'd be better off.
What are Jason Light's tendencies? You've covered this draft for a long time. You look at Tampa right now. They're sitting there at 19. They're in a really interesting spot to us, Roy, because a lot of folks have the Steelers associated with the quarterback. If someone wanted to jump up in the first round and get Shador Sanders, if he's still there, they could possibly trade. Tampa could be a spot to trade back. But is that something you think they would do?
Absolutely. You ask what Jason Light's tendencies are. Trade down and acquire more picks. He loves to do it. They do an excellent job of, basically kind of gauging the draft. They know what other teams are going to get, what they want. They know they usually have 3 or 4 players that they're kind of targeting because let's face it, over the last 5-6 years, it wasn't this way always, but they have figured out exactly how to maneuver around being in the bottom third of the draft. And they're not afraid to move down a couple of spots, take the second or third guy on their board, because when you get down into this spot in the first round in particular, you realize that there's not a whole lot of difference between this particular safety and that wide receiver, or this guard and that linebacker. So they're willing to move around, especially in the first round, acquire more picks, and try to, just get the most out of the draft as a whole. So I will be surprised at all if they trade out of 19. In fact, I expect it. I don't expect them to move up, although that could happen too. But I do expect them to move at some point and acquire more picks. That's Jason Light's primary tendency. Move down, acquire more picks.
I would really love an edge rusher if I was Jason Light. It would be my number one preference. The problem is, I think Atlanta's going edge at 15, and I think Cincy is going edge at 17. And so my fear is that I might be reaching a little bit at 19 for an edge. And that's why what you just talked about. I mean, we brought it up earlier. If you're the Chargers at 22, the Chargers and the Broncos have the same needs. Does the Chargers just want to move up 3 spots to 19? Tampa can move back to 22 and pick up a pick or 2 in the middle of the draft. There's talk Green Bay may actually want to move up from 23 and get ahead of a couple teams to select somebody. I think they're going defense, though, Roy. I really do. I mean, I know I think they have more needs on defense.
I agree. The only real need that I see on offense that they should fill would be, look, there's a lot of good wide receivers in the bottom third of the draft. Tetrion McMillan, I'm going to say the first name wrong, a kid out of Arizona, is a real good, possibility. There's a lot there. Mika Egbuka out of Ohio State, that's a kid that I think they could be targeting. I would target that kid. If he gets to 19, and there's a chance he will, I would grab him in a hurry. And I hear what you're saying about defensive end, and I don't disagree. But here's the problem with defensive end when you're picking where they are. The best edge rushers are usually gone. They're like quarterbacks. The best quarterbacks can go in the top 10 picks, top 12. Same with the edge rushers. What the Bucs have figured out, I think, over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 years, when you're picking edge rushers, when you're picking 26th overall, 22nd overall, 19th overall, you're getting a guy who really doesn't have everything. You're getting Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. And there's a lot of work that has to be done to bring him along and make him an effective player, if not a superstar. Same with, types like Logan Hall, Yaya Diaby, Kalijah Kancey. So these are guys who are not necessarily going to come in right away and help you. So I think they figured that out. That's why they went into free agency, got the defensive end there. I think they'll add a defensive end, but I think they might be out of the market of trying to get one in the first round and forcing the issue, whereas there might be better value in the linebacker there, the safety at that spot if they don't move, even if they do move down, the cornerback at that spot, and again, the wide receiver, because I just think when you're picking defensive ends at that spot, you're probably getting someone who's more of a project than an immediate plug-and-play player. And I think what they need is a plug-and-play player. They're not afraid to develop them. But if you're going to develop a guy you got in the second round or third round first. I think that would be the better idea.
Roy, and I like where your head's at with that, because I think Campbell will be there at 19. Yeah. I think Ibuka will be there at 19. I think that would be a hell of a choice. And there's been a lot of talk of maybe Starks, the Georgia safety, has been linked to the Bucs a little bit. I mean, they have a lot of needs, but to me, linebackers aren't taken in the first round the way they once were. And if you can get a guy like Campbell, who's a plug-and-play guy for an older linebacker core, they help themselves out in the short and long term. And I think to me, if Campbell's there, I think they have to take him. If it were between Campbell and Ibuka, who would you take?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one, because I would say that along with Starks, those are the top 3 guys on my board for the Buccaneers. Those are the 3 guys that I think they're probably looking at. And they're thinking, if they're thinking like me, is if we get one of these 3 guys, we're in good shape because we're filling a real need. Who do you take over if they're all three? If all three are there, I'd have a hard time passing on Igbuka. I think that kid is going to be a generational talent. And here's the thing: it's not just that he can play the position. He's one of those kids who you build a team around. He's one of those kids who loves the game. He's great in the locker room. He's a guy that people gravitate to, that they follow. He's a team leader, a captain type. He has got the intangibles as well. And believe me, the Buccaneers think a lot about that as well. So I don't know that about Campbell. I think he's probably got all that too. But Igbuka is a guy you can build a team around, not just an offense. So I think Igbuka would be the guy, if he's there, that would be the guy I think I would take over all the others.
And by the way, when we're talking Campbell for the Bucs, we're not talking Will Campbell, the LSU offensive tackle. We're talking Jahad Campbell, the Alabama linebacker, who they think also could maybe be a bit of an edge rusher in packages, especially with the way that Bowles likes to blitz. Bucs off season so far. How would you grade it?
Solid. I mean, you know what? You've got certain guys coming back. You added the edge rusher that you needed. I like it so far. It wasn't great. I think they're counting on a lot of guys coming back and doing next year what they did this past year. That's okay. But I think they knew all along that, look, there's not a lot of money. So you don't have a lot of room to add through free agency. They did add a few players, little bits and pieces here and there. I think it's been solid, okay. The draft is going to make a difference, though. They're going to have to add some guys who don't necessarily have to step in and play right away, but they've got to be guys who can play sometime in the next year or two. And if they do that, I think they continue to make a seamless transition into the next season, next two seasons, where they stay competitive and, if not, championship caliber.
30 seconds. We know you're Chicago-based. Any thoughts on the passing of Steve McMichael?
Yeah, of course. I mean, again, talk about a star, player. It's just sad to see it happen. And I think we knew it was coming, and it's been a rough go for him. And you know what? We're at that time now where some of those players are starting to leave us, and it's unfortunate. But hey, he's a legend in Chicago, that's for sure. Anybody that was a part of that team, they're going to be heroes forever in the eyes of Chicago Bears fans.
40 years ago, and they still haven't paid for anything in Chicago. He's Roy Cummings. We don't pay him anything. Okay. I mean, we should be paying him like what the Bears from 1985 get in Chicago, but he works very cheaply. You can follow Roy on X at @RCummingsFHCN, @RCummingsFHCN. Roy, all the best to you and the family. Enjoy the hockey, enjoy your Cubs, and we'll talk soon.
I do it for free because I love you guys. Take care.
Roy Cummings, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. He likes us and he knows our budget.
Exactly. Igbuka's interesting. I'm with Roy in this regard, is that he's played with players that are better than him. So he doesn't have that diva. He could come in and handle not being the one right away and learning. I'd still go defense, though. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
This is Miller and Moulton. Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. JP Shadrick, 40 minutes from now. Many people believe the draft will start tonight with the Jaguars at 5. That the first 4 picks, a lot of the reporters covering the draft feel very confident that Tennessee goes Cam Ward, Cleveland goes Travis Hunter, the Giants go Abdul Carter, and the Patriots go LSU tackle Will Campbell. And it's the Jags at 5 that they don't have a strong feeling about. What direction are they going to go? So JP Shadrick, 40 minutes from now to talk about the Jags and the draft. If you've missed Marc Malusis and Roy Cummings on the show, you can go to millerandmoulton.com and download what you missed. And they and all our guests joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Looking at another mock during the break, The Athletic put out their last mock draft with Dane Brugler, and he has Genty going to the Jags and Mason Graham sliding to the Saints at 9.
Interesting. A lot of people at the Saints going edge rusher. I don't know if Mason Graham's a plug-and-play defensive tackle, but I think you can justify taking him because you probably have him ranked somewhere between 4 and 6 on your board, and he falls to you at 9. But, I mean, I saw a mock draft here recently where Mason Graham fell to the Dolphins, which would be
a steal. I mean, you talk about the needs of the Miami Dolphins and getting tougher in the trenches. This fixes that right now. I mean, they need to get the interior of both sides of the ball tougher, and you can get a guard on Friday. You don't have to draft a guard on tonight. You don't. There will be guards available on Friday.
I don't think Graham falls past Carolina at 8 for what it's worth, but obviously we shall see. An interesting mock that I saw, the guy that you and Roy Cummings are both very high on, Egbuka, the wide receiver from Ohio State.
Right.
I've seen a couple of mocks in which Arizona takes him at 16. You know, putting the Ohio State wide receivers back together again, which would truly put all the onus on the quarterback. I mean, if they've got Harrison Jr. and Egbuka as their receivers, I mean, this becomes a make or break year for Kyler Murray. And there are a lot of numbers that say he's just not good enough from the pocket. I mean, he ranked in the 30s in just about every pocket passing stat last year among starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So, would that be interesting if all of a sudden Harrison Jr. and Egbuka are the wide receivers? That's a problem.
That is a definite problem. And they have a tight end there.
Right.
You know, I mean, they just got done paying their tight end. So now you're talking about 2 real ones on the outside and a very solid tight end. That puts, you're right, all the pressure on Kyler Murray to deliver. The other thing that I've seen as well, and I know we've got a couple of Broncos fans who listen to the Twitch chat room, is the Broncos not trading up because they don't have a lot of capital to trade up with, but the Broncos trading back. You know, you and I have spent a lot of time talking about Tampa being in that spot a couple of ahead of Pittsburgh, but Denver's right there, 1 ahead of Pittsburgh.
Right.
So if someone wants to get a quarterback, if that's your need, the Broncos are a team that they think could actually move down, not up in the draft, in that spot right before the Steelers.
I have a hard time seeing, I don't have a hard time seeing Seattle And if I could just do 20 seconds on the Seahawks here, what's going on in Seattle is pretty remarkable. You don't see a lot of teams win 10 games after the previous 2 years winning 9 games each year and decide that they need to do a makeover on the fly. I mean, think about it. They got rid of their top 2 wide receivers. They got rid of their quarterback. They're open. They have the most draft picks, and they're open to trading down. I mean, this is remarkable what Snyder and the young coach who came in from Baltimore, what they're doing together. They're doing a reset after a 10-win season.
This is very Bills-esque from a few years back.
Right.
When they made the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor, right? Was their
2017,
was
they
their
went
quarterback, and
right.
they completely rebooted after that. They're like,
Yes.
this got us to the playoffs, but this ain't getting us to the promised land, and we need to reboot.
But a big part of their reboot was Josh Allen. And they bought a veteran offensive line so that he would be protected his first couple years in the league. And they made the playoffs his second year in the league. And obviously, Seattle going Sam Darnold now at quarterback, but a complete reboot around him. Okay. To me, I think you could get Seattle, Mark, to trade back to early second round. You know, whether it's Cleveland at 33, the Giants at 34, et cetera. I don't know that Tampa Bay would move back from 19 to 34. I don't know that Denver, because, you know, Denver's got to come out of that first pick with a plug and play offensive skill player. Now, if you're in love with like the number 3 tight end, you know, whether it's the Bowling Green kid, whether it's Taylor from LSU, whether it's the Miami kid, you could probably get him at 33, 34. But otherwise, you know, if I'm Denver, see, you know, my crush, I don't want to lose out on Travion Henderson.
Well, and that's if you know, I've seen the North Carolina running back linked to Denver far more than I've seen the Ohio State running back linked to Denver. But that's
right. But if I'm trading back, I mean, the North Carolina running back is not the number 2 running back on most boards. If I'm trading back, I'm probably not getting Hampton, right? All right. I'm, you know, at best getting the number 3 running back. How far back can I go? You know, if I'm getting the number 3 tight end, number 3 running back, how far back from 20 can I go? How far back can the Chargers at 22 go if that's where they want to go also?
One of the things that I find interesting in this last mock that I was going through from The Athletic is that he has Will Johnson dropping all the way to 23 to Green Bay, the Michigan corner, who didn't run the 40, and there are now red flags on him. I hope for the Dolphins' sake that they don't get him. I am worried about Will Johnson. And I know there's a lot of folks that think he's a lockdown corner, can play first-round guy. Not running a 40, coming off of an injury, not playing a whole lot last year. He was great the year before. But that, to me, that worries me. And someone's going to take a chance on him because the skill level's there.
If I'm a team and I'm going to trade back with Cleveland or the Giants or potentially even New Orleans, who I think picks 40th. By the way, Todd McShay has come out very strongly and said that Shadrick Sanders will not be a Giant and he will not be a Saint. He's just flat out said. And he said, and I don't care what pick you want to tell me. And his point with Kellen Moore was, think about where his last 3 teams have been. His quarterbacks have been Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, okay, and Jalen Hurts. He said, I'm telling you, all right, Kellen Moore doesn't have any interest in Shadrick Sanders. Interesting.
Apparently nobody does, except for maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Correct.
Because he's been linked to them. To me, from what I've seen, more than any other team, I've seen Sanders with Pittsburgh at 21. Biggest wild card in the draft. I think that will get people to watch tonight, particularly if he's dropping. And I know he's not there, so you don't get to see him, and it doesn't add that element of it. But because of the name, who his father is. If he's dropping, I think that will make interest in the draft go up. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening.
Marc Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. Marc Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That's correct. He will not be attending the draft tonight.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
JP Shadrick to join us in a little over 20 minutes time. We'll focus in on the Jags. A lot of people believe that they are the first team of intrigue tonight, picking fifth. Most people feel pretty confident about how the first four teams, what they're going to take. But Jacksonville, who are they going to take? What are they going to do? Are they going to stay at 5? Let's talk about them trading with the Bears, trading elsewhere. So we'll talk to JP in a little more than 20 minutes time.
I do need to make a little announcement because I've been getting text and we've been asked and we've answered most people in the Twitch chat room during the course of the week, but there are a lot more people who listen to the show that are just in the Twitch chat room who in the past few years have joined us for our draft show. And we are not doing one tonight. But the fact of the matter is we are just not doing a draft show. Things are going on and we are unable to do it. So we apologize. We've done one in the past. We may do one in the future, but we're not doing one tonight. So our apologies for those of you that look forward to it. And we've had a lot of fun in the past. I've even cannonballed into the pool after picks while doing it outside on my lanai. I may cannonball, have my wife film it, and post it to X at some point during the night.
Yes. And by the way, I am to blame. Okay. I am unable to make the show tonight for personal reasons. So that is why we cannot do the show tonight. We love doing the show. And I'll miss it, quite frankly, but I just can't do it. My apologies. For what it's worth, Mark, Peter Schrager, first year with ESPN, before that, NFL Network and what have you. Peter Schrager has the Bucs at 19, taking the 6'4" wide receiver McMillan from Arizona, which is interesting because a lot of people have him going to Dallas at 12. But Schrager, and I like Schrager's sources. He's got very good sources. He's got Tet McMillan, the 6'4" Arizona wide receiver, going to the Bucs at 19. Roy Cummings and Mark Miller would love to see the Bucs go Emeka Egbuka, the Ohio State wide receiver, at 19 instead. We'll see if either one of those guys are on the board when the Bucs are picking at 19.
I hate doing this. Should have asked you during the break. Does Schrager have a receiver going before McMillan to anyone else? Because that's what I would be interested in there, because he's rated the top receiver. There are some that like Golden a lot. Luther Burden from Missouri also talked about as a first-round guy. But if McMillan's there at 19, I wouldn't be shocked to see the Bucs take him at all. And if he is, that means that the receiver position is going to be probably, you know who else would love that is the Denver Broncos. Because then that means they could move out of 20 and still get a receiver if they wanted to, wherever they traded out to, and get one of the top guys. But the talk is when one receiver goes, the run on receivers may happen because there are only really 4 guys that are considered first-round guys, and 3 of them are considered first/second-round guys.
Well, I just looked up Schrager's mock draft, and he has Tet McMillan as the first wide receiver off the board to Tampa at 19. That he has a lot of linemen, both sides of the ball, going to teams that have been linked to skill players like Tyler Booker, the guard, he has going to Dallas at 12. He has Mason Graham falling all the way to the Dolphins at 13. Very interesting. For the record, he has the Jags taking Genty at 5 and the Jets taking Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State, at 7. So there you have it. Switching gears, JP Shadrick in 20 minutes time. So Lightning Panthers tonight. This is interesting. Clearly Tampa Bay has to play harder, tougher, more physical. They got pushed around in the second and third periods. They lost 60% of their faceoffs, and they lost a lot of battles coming off the boards. But Mark, the more physical they want to get, aren't they kind of playing right in to how Florida plays? I mean, I understand they got to play tougher than they did. They were not strong enough on the puck Tuesday, but they can't go, trying to hit Florida.
Right, but they were out hit 48-28 in game one. That's not being out hit. That's being manhandled. I mean, that is such a disparity in hits. And you know that Florida is going to out hit you. I don't believe there's a team in the league that operates their forecheck as well as the Florida Panthers do.
Agreed.
That team gets north and south. They get the puck deep and 3 and 4 lines deep. There's not a line on that team. And that's the difference. Most top lines, and when you look at the Kucherov line, unbelievably skilled. But Getzel's not going to hit you. Kucherov's not going to hit you.
Right.
Point will.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to. But, I mean, the other two aren't going to make hits. You look at every single line. You want to say the Barkov line's the first line? They'll run your doors off. You want to say Bennett and Tkachuk? Then that's what they love to do. Marchand's on the third line. He'll hit anybody. So when you play Florida, you just go through one line after another that want to challenge you physically. But even with all that said, you can't let the opposition score 3 power play goals on you.
No, I mean, Tampa goes 1 for 3 on the power play, and that's like, yeah, okay, we'd take that every game. Panthers can't go 3 for 3. No way. In fact, Tampa needs to win special teams, which is tough because the Panthers have a top 2 penalty kill in the league. But 3 for 3 on the power play? Oh, boy. So, I mean, to me, it's the series. Tampa has to get a win tonight. I don't care if they dominate play and win. Don't care if they get outplayed and win. I don't care. Not going to win this series down 2-0. Not going to do it. No one's going to beat the Panthers 4 out of 5.
And it doesn't matter that this game's in Tampa or whether it's in Florida. You're not beating the Florida Panthers 4 out of 5.
No.
Tonight is the season for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Period. End of sentence.
I think they'll play very well. The problem is they're playing one of the very best teams in the league. Forget the fact they finished 3rd in the division in the regular season. I mean, they've gone to the Cup in back-to-back years, and they're almost as deep this year. In fact, they're probably as deep with forwards. They're not as deep with defense. And this is the last game they play without Ekblad. Oh, by the way, which is another reason why if you're Tampa, you got to get tonight. Got to. But I'll be curious. 6:30 start, Panthers Lightning. You can get a full 2 periods in and then switch over to the draft. Funny thing is, if the top 4 picks in the draft go as expected, you might be able to get the whole game in before you flip over and the Jags are on the clock.
3 TV night in the living room. Got to break out the third tonight, David. Don't know, and I have no idea who's getting what TV tonight. Because I don't need sound for the draft. I mean, you can just observe the draft. You don't have to hear every word that's being said. But the Pistons have kind of lured me back. I'm interested to see the crowd tonight in Detroit because Detroit, oh, God, they pulled that stupid crap that I hate so much that they don't think their fans can buy tickets, so they tried to block anybody from out of state to buy tickets.
Yep.
There's part of me that wants to see 2,500 Knicks fans in the building because I hate that. It's Bush League. It's saying our fans don't come to games. The Panthers tried this at one point. You notice they don't have to do it anymore.
Correct. But for the longest time they did, or at least they tried.
So there's a little bit of interest everywhere, but boy, oh boy, 6:30. The NHL trying to get these double headers in and starting playoff games extremely early. That'll be a mess getting to that game tonight in Tampa.
Yeah.
That'll be a mess.
Yeah, you make a dadgum good point. You really do. Hey, let's take Cam Ward off the table. I mean, the Titans are taking him because they need a quarterback, and he's the best one. Okay. Let's take Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter off the table.
All right.
Is there a player that you're willing to put your job on the line for if you take those three off the board? And by putting your job on the line, you're saying, I'm not saying that this guy's going to turn into a Zach Wilson and be a complete bust, but just, you draft somebody, in the first round, fairly in the first half of the first round. And if they're only and you're not picking up their fifth-year option, to me, Mark, that's a D or an F as a pick.
Yes, it is.
And so, top 10 guy, I've taken the three off the board. Who are you putting your job on the line for?
Believe it or not, I love linemen, David. I've listened to you. I've read a lot. You've watched this guy play in person and spoke highly of him. The people that I trust probably is Will Campbell. I think you're getting 10 years out of that guy on the offensive line.
I mean, if you end up not adding a fifth year to Will Campbell's contract, don't you just turn and look around and go, well, man, you might as well fire me. I was convinced he was the most solid pick of this draft. And my guy's Mason Graham. I mean, that's my guy.
And I think it'll be interesting, if somehow, some way, the Bears go to where the Patriots are and leapfrog the Jags for Genty. I think they could take Will Campbell with every bit the same confidence that you have in taking Mason Graham there.
And that's why, for me, for as much as I believe in running backs, everybody who listens to the show knows I believe in running backs. I had no problem with Fournette at 4 and McCaffrey at 8 and Saquon at 2. Listen, if you're a stud running back, 7, 8 years, 10,000 yards, thank you very much, and we'll move on. But I mean, Mason Graham's literally the guy I'm putting my job on the line for if I'm the Jags. And you are going to have to sell the hell out of me about Genty. I mean, I got to look at you and go, hey, he can't be DeAndre Swift. Okay? If you know what I mean. I mean, he's got to be I'm serious about this. The two best running backs in Jags history are who? Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yep.
I mean, literally, he's got to be at least Maurice Jones-Drew, if not better, to me, to pass on Mason Graham.
And I know that Genty had a terrific game against Oregon. Outside of that, he didn't play anyone. That scares the hell out of me. Miller and Moulton been doing this together for a long time. We kind of agree on one draft philosophy. We're taking guys from Power 5 conference. And by that, we mean the SEC and the Big Ten mostly.
I'm going to say we might limit it to about 20 teams. Okay. If we're in a good mood, we'll throw Notre Dame on the list. Scout comes in and goes, hey, I want to talk about so-and-so from, wait a minute. Right. I'm not paying for that.
Gray Zabel, North Dakota State. Get out of the room. And, this kid may end up being a terrific center.
Right.
And he can play guard, and he can play tackle, and he's very versatile, and he's probably going to be a really good NFL player. David and I would be like, don't know what to tell you. Went to North Dakota State. We're not interested.
Right. I mean, and you know me and the Mighty Bison. I got my softness for North Dakota State and Fargo, but I'd look right at him, and I'd be like, you mean to tell me you can't find me somebody from LSU, Alabama, Georgia? because I know who they were blocking.
So that's always been one of our draft philosophies. And I love me some offensive linemen. I wouldn't feel badly if the Jags went O-line if somehow the Bears end up getting to 4.
So, but you're putting your job on the line for Will Campbell.
If you're taking Carter and Hunter off the board, yeah.
Yeah, we take Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Abdul Carter off the board. Of the rest of the players, you're putting your job on the line for Will Campbell. I'm putting it on the line for Mason Graham. All right. We'll see who JP Shadrick will put his job on the line for next.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Marc Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
We're well aware of the Bison offensive line starters. They've been good players, by the way. I don't know if any of them have been great players, but yeah, they've been good, solid O-linemen in the last 5 years. Hey, man.
Hey, man.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Good.
Look at you, clean shaven for the draft. This must be a big day.
Yeah, I clean up pretty good, don't I? Look at
that.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's in high definition and everything.
No, it was not a criticism. It was just an observation. I'm like, you can tell it's a big day.
Yeah, kind of
found the razor. Yep. How you been? Hey, did you
start your draft coverage tonight?
We've got a show at 4 for an hour, and then I've got a hit at the beach party at 7. But I got to do it from here, from the football building, and then we do a pregame show at 7:30 up until 8, and then we do after the pick immediate analysis for like 30 minutes straight. So, yeah.
Pete's still with you?
Prisco?
Yeah.
Yeah, but not on this weekend. He's got his own draft stuff going on, but he'll be doing stuff with us. Yeah.
Did I see you on posting? Were you in New York City last week?
I was. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, it was cool. Yeah.
Oh, but it looked like you were taking in whether it was, shows or concerts or.
I went to the Brothers at the Garden for 2 nights. The Allman Brothers. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Oh, that's cool.
It was really cool. So I did both nights.
Had you ever seen a show at the Garden?
I had never walked into the Garden at all. I didn't realize you get in, you get on this elevator in the back there or whatever, and you got to go up to 5. I'm like, 5? Where are we, in the rafters? No, that's the floor. I mean, it's like I didn't realize that. That's pretty amazing how they did that. It's a great venue.
Aren't the acoustics in the Garden terrific?
It sounded really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. I walked around a few different spots during the second show just to kind of hear it in different places, and it was fantastic. And the lighting, like it's perfect. It's a perfect venue. It was cool.
I will say he put a ton of money into it about 8-10 years ago. Dolan did. He revamped it. He made it nicer. He took out the blue seats, but
seats were pretty nice. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yep, pretty sweet.
That's cool.
I stayed over in Brooklyn because it was a little cheaper over there.
No.
And then ended up one day I got up and walked deep into Brooklyn. I had not walked that way, and I walked by the old Ebbets Field site. I'd never been down there. And it happened to, you walk around it, and it's an apartment building now, right? But there's where home plate was at Ebbets Field. It's in a concrete walkway in front of the maintenance door, and it's honored Jackie Robinson. It happened to be on Jackie Robinson Day.
Oh, April 15th.
I wasn't even paying attention. I looked down and went, oh, today's April 15th. That's pretty amazing.
Wow.
So that was pretty neat to see,
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm a nerd like that.
You know what? Walking around the boroughs during the day is actually pretty cool.
That was fun. I walked all the way. I was staying right by the bridge, and then I walked just all the way. That's 3 miles or something.
Yeah.
Through the park, the whole thing. It's great.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, fun.
And now we're back talking defensive tackle or running back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Marc Miller and David Moulton.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this NFL Draft Thursday, final Thursday of April, by the way. Pat Kerwin and Chris Perkins on the show tomorrow.
And we are freezing up right now on the internet. We've lost David twice. It happened right before the break. I got pretty excited because he popped back on right as we were coming out of the break. And then we lost David again, and now it looks like David is back with one JP Shadrick. Nice to have the internet completely go down with an hour left in the show. David, welcome back. JP, welcome to the show. How are you this morning?
Well, welcome back to you, Mark. I think Dave and I were okay on our end.
Right.
I don't know what happened to Mark's end, but hey, it's great to be with you both. Mark, whenever you're back with us fully, all the pixels are back. That's cool. But no, it's great to be here. It's draft day. I don't know if you guys heard about this. There's this 3-day event at the end of April.
All right.
That it sets the course for every franchise.
It does. And you know what? I cared. And I was super excited to have you on the show, as we always are, JP.
Thanks.
But you informed us of something, and David kind of knew. I did not see it on X, that you were in New York City to see both shows of the brothers. The Allman Brothers kind of put together this band and did 2 shows at the Garden. I'll start off by saying, which encore of Whipping Post was better, night 1 or night 2. I could do this whole damn interview on this concert and not talk Jags one bit, JP.
Yeah, me too, by the way. I think the first night was better than the second. I think the second, they might have been like ready to kind of just let's move on out of here and get this done. But I think the second night, second set might have been the best concert experience I've ever had in person. That from the intermission to the very end, they were both on. Both Derek Trucks and Warren Haynes were both spot on all night long. The band behind them was great. Russo was great on the drums. It was a really spectacular show, a sold-out house.
Sorry that we have to bring it back and talk about your football team. All right, here's my issue. Tony Baselli, who you've worked alongside now until he got the president of the franchise job a few months ago, you've worked alongside him for years. He has complained that the Jags have not been tough enough and physical enough at the point of attack. I cannot believe also with Tank Bigsby and ATN on the depth chart at running back that Tony Baselli is going to allow the young, new offensive guru coach, seriously, I'm not playing around, to go running back over pick the best damn guy in the middle of either line, and that's who we're taking.
Okay.
But you sat next to him. I mean, this would be interesting. I mean, but think about it. I'm Baselli. You two are, the head coach and what have you, GM. And I have been pounding the table for years saying we're not tough enough. I just got my dream job, and I'm going to defer to you two to take a running back? I don't believe it.
Well, let's consider they have done a little work in free agency on the offensive line, right? I mean, on the interior guys. They have tackles that are under contract, and Anton Harrison and Walker Little. Is that the long-term play? I don't know, but they're there, and they're under contract. Defensively, you've got the ends in place. So you don't need you can always use a pass rusher. The interior guys, they have guys under contract as well. However, you're not wrong, Dave, that has been an issue for this team, certainly on the offensive side last season. That was the narrative. 3rd and 2, no chance. A lot of times of getting the first down. Like, how do you figure out how to be more physical and just go get those yards? And on the defensive side, it's stopping the run consistently when you have to, and they haven't been able to do a lot of that. I will say, though, if there is in the review of certain players that I know you're trying to talk about, maybe they have come to a realization that the value of somebody else might be better at that spot. And maybe you can get that position, a defensive tackle, let's say, at another spot in the draft that can be just as good. Is it good enough to have a really good defensive tackle or a spectacular running back? Like, what's the better play at number 5 overall? I think at 5, you want that spectacular possible Hall of Fame player. Is that Genty? I don't know. I mean, that's up to them to decide.
That's
if
all
they're
I'm
going to pick
saying.
him,
He better be
right.
Fred Taylor.
Well, so should you know what? So should Mason Graham. He should be Aaron Donald.
I don't know about Aaron Donald, but
why not? He's a number 5.
He should be the best defensive tackle you guys have had in 20 years.
Okay. Well, that would be pretty good. That'd be a franchise. Yeah. Is he that? I don't know the answer to that. But that's what number 5 has to be if you're going to pick that. Obviously, if Travis Hunter falls, he's not going to fall. But if he did, he's the guy. But he's not going to be the guy unless there's some kind of packaging and some move. You never know, right? I mean, it's a new regime, new world. They've got 11 picks next draft as well to play with. They could package around. Who knows with that? But if they're there at 5, you got to get a guy who's a franchise-defining player. Now, Jags have been in this spot before and have it hasn't worked out in the top 10 or the top 5 for whatever reason or another. And you got to stop missing on players like this and get somebody that can start for a long time.
And I ain't wasting time no more. One of these players will be going southbound to Jacksonville. If by chance Chicago trades up to 4 with the Pats to get Genty, do you think the Jags would still stay there at 5 if Genty's the guy they have circled, or do you think they could move down in this draft?
Well, I mean, how far, and what is the other team coming up for? Like at that point, if Genty's gone, then what's the?
I think someone could come up for the lineman from LSU. I mean, someone could want to get Johnson. That would be my theory there, that someone would want to get the best tackle,
or to get ahead of the Jets for Tyler Warren. That's what I'm wondering.
Okay.
Then if that played out,
at that point, is it okay? Is Warren's a fantastic player, Dave. You saw him firsthand a bunch. He's incredible. And I had a bunch of games with him too, and he's all over the field and everything. And he's a jack of all trades. You can line him up anywhere, and he's got a good attitude about it and all that. But what about – and a lot of people have been talking bad about Ted McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, the last couple of days. But if the motor is there, if it's there, he's 6'4" and 215, and you line him up opposite Brian Thomas Jr. with Gabe Davis on the field if he's healthy as well, and Brenton Strange is kind of the lead tight end. All of a sudden, you got a basketball team outside, and there are options to throw it down the field. So I think McMillan might be in play there as well. Even if the Jags maybe can slide back a few spots, okay. But if they have to stay at 5, then is it more Warren or is it McMillan? I think it's still at that point. Let's help out the quarterback as much as we can in this new offense and this offensive-minded head coach. And if you put another weapon on the other side, then I don't think that's a bad thing.
By the way, Jed Fish, who was the coach at Arizona, who recruited McMillan, now he's at Washington, but he gave an interview recently in which he said he's Mike Evans. Okay, 6'4" and whatever. He said, I'm telling you, he's Mike Evans. Now, obviously, that's a guy who's going to, have a gold jacket. But, you're right, JP. People are knocking him down. Peter Schrager has him going to the Bucs at 19.
Yeah.
We're talking about him possibly being drafted in the top 10. Where else?
Jed Fish was here, by the way, too.
Right.
He was the offensive coordinator with the Jaguars when they drafted Bortles, but they had to have a quarterback at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Where else would they go after the first round?
It's a good one.
Does it just have to be defense because it was one of the worst defenses in franchise history?
They need a corner. They need another corner at some point. They did some work in free agency, but there's some older guys, right? So you need another guy to probably play outside if you can. So I would look at that pretty early. Defensive tackle, we're talking about it at 5, but that's at some point those contracts are going to expire in the next year or two for some of those guys on the interior. And Eric Armstead's not getting any younger, right? So, okay, let's probably shore up the interior of that spot as well. So I think those are a couple of key ones. Other than that, let's go best available, man. Get some guys in here, and they've got 10 picks. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if there's some moving around with James Gladstone. I think he's going to work the phones and be aggressive and move up, back, whatever he needs to do. I don't think he's afraid to roll the dice and make a move to go get somebody if he really needs to.
They lost their tight end. That would be, to me, another need for them in this draft because it's, outside of the top 2 guys, the people that I trust, and I don't, I'm not digging into who the 5 and 6 tight ends are, but it's a deep tight end. And on day 3, late in day 2, might be a position that the Jags obviously could use a tight end. To me, that's another spot they could go. Do you see that being a possibility on day 2?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I could see that as well because like I said, Brenton Strange is the guy right now. He started to kind of come out of a shell last year a little bit. Penn State guy, been around for a couple of years. And they, in free agency, got a couple of veteran players on very small deals. So they could use another guy that's a front line, maybe a down the field threat. Brenton Strange's real strength is in the blocking game. He's all over the field. You can line him up at fullback and the H and, move him pre-snap, all this stuff, lead block. But if Evan Ingram was a down the field pass catcher, you could line up at any position. So they don't have that, in my opinion, right now at tight end. So how deep can you go and still get that? Those don't show up in like the 5th round usually. So you got to get that pretty high.
Got about 30 seconds. Let's just go with the fifth pick. If it's not Genty or Mason Graham, what's the other name that you've heard that you went, huh, interesting?
Probably McMillan.
Wow.
That's
at 5.
I mean,
that's
if you think he's a game-changing type receiver, and you think his heart is in it, and you think that he can be a great opposite of Brian Thomas Jr., and they're going to work well together and in tandem with this new offense, I don't see why two different 6'4" receivers that can run and jump over everybody is a bad thing.
JP Shadrick, Jags Radio Network. He does college and pro football for Westwood One and the Touchdown Radio Network. Follow him on X at JP Shadrick. You've got a long day ahead of you today. Working a nap if you can. If not, have a good day.
Mark, Dave, love you guys. Talk to you next time.
Right back at you. When David takes a day off, I'll bring you on. We'll do an entire segment on the Allman Brothers
Don't
show.
threaten me with a good time.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. Marc Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. American Paint Supplies. For nearly 30 years is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Here's a couple of fun facts for you. David's been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for what it's worth, candidly. I have not. But I did not know this. I knew that President Carter was a big fan of the Allmans and vice versa. But apparently, according to this story that I'm reading, in November of, had to be 75, that that the Allman Brothers played a gig in Providence, Rhode Island to benefit Carter's campaign. They say it saved the campaign, first off. Secondly, that Carter invited Greg Allman to the White House when he was married to Cher, and that Greg and Cher slept in the Lincoln bedroom inauguration night. And Cher told me that they got high there. And now you know the rest of the story. According to this story, whoever wrote it there says that Cher said that they got high in the Lincoln bedroom. I got that, but the one in Providence, they say saved his campaign. Geezer. I knew that they had a great relationship with him, but they're literally, the article that I've got in front of me says that basically the money they got or whatever they did, it saved the campaign. That's pretty crazy.
I have.
I would look for, I said that to them when you were off there. Geezer, I would look up this last show. They've got the couple of YouTube clips already, a 16-minute version of Memory of Elizabeth Reed, and then they've got one of the two whipping posts that are already in this article that I'm sure they're out there on YouTube as well.
Wow. Geezer, how about that? Man, if JP filled in for me, you guys would do the hour on it.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be like you and the Big O.
Yep. I've never been this jealous of JP. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I like the almonds way better than Skinner.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Marc Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, the home stretch of Miller and Moulton on this NFL Draft Thursday, final Thursday of April. Draft in a little less than 11 hours from Green Bay. Coverage begins 8 a.m. Eastern. Well, obviously, everybody's got pre-shows, but, they say it'll begin at 8 p.m. and, Cam Ward will get selected, at about 8:13.
Yeah.
Even though we all know he's going to be taken, and they could do the first 3-4 picks in about 10 minutes, but, nope, they worked on those graphics. They got to show us the player profiles and all the video, and okay. Yep.
I might put another poll question up.
Oh my goodness.
Well, after that interview with JP, that I think left everybody with far more questions than we have answers, and that's mainly about the Brothers show at Madison Square Garden, not about the Jags, because, who cares? And EB in our Twitch chat room asked me if I was a Skinner fan, and I am. I like the Allman Brothers much more than I like Leonard Skinner, but there are a lot of people who would think differently than that. Who do you like more? Which Southern rock band do you like more? Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner.
Mm-hmm.
And you could throw a Marshall Tucker on there. You throw Charlie Daniels, but I don't think that they rank as high as the two that I'm speaking of.
Okay. So there's no third.
I don't believe so.
This is chocolate or vanilla. There's no other ice cream worthy of making the survey.
And I don't think it's a vote, personally. I think the Allman Brothers, to me, should win going away. But when you have, songs like Freebird in your catalog, there are a lot of Skinner fans out there, and I get it.
Now, folks are mentioning CCR 38 special.
First off, whoever mentions 38 special in the same damn sentence as the Allman Brothers and Leonard Skinner should be silenced for at least the next 30 days, okay? Let's just start there. And CCR is a 60s band, late 60s. The Southern rock thing was a few years later. Yes, they're from the South, but you don't really associate them the same way you associate Skinner and the Allmans, to me.
ZZ Top make the survey?
They're from Texas.
Okay.
No,
All
they
right.
don't. Billy Gibbons, one of the best guitar players to ever put the instrument over his shoulder, but not Southern rock.
Okay, fair enough.
So
Fair
I want to get another poll question.
Well, hold on. Can you at least humor me? Okay, can you at least read the 5 or 6 that you've already done? Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton, and vote on any of these questions before you vote on the next one.
All right. What position should the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take with their first round pick? Right now, 47% of you say an edge rusher. Linebacker and defensive back are tied, wide receiver in last. Same question for the Dolphins, but we put corner, O-line, D-line / linebacker, and other on there. 64% offensive line. For the Jags, who should they take with the 5th overall pick? We gave you 2 choices, Genty and Graham. 58% of you say Mason Graham. Going with the over on the number of trades that will happen in the first round. We set the over-under at 3.5. It's a 60-40 split, but the under is getting 60%. I'm sorry, the under. And how many quarterbacks will go in the first round of tonight's NFL draft? 1, 2, 3, or 4. 3 is getting nearly 60% of the vote. 2 is getting 27% of the vote. 10% for 4, and a little less than, or a little more than 4% for 1 quarterback in the first round.
And I went with 4. I'm banking on somebody trading back in between 30 and 32 for Jalen Milroe, but we'll see. We shall see. I feel pretty good about 3. I think Sanders is going to go in the first round, and I'd bet a large amount of money that somebody's Saints, Giants trading back into the first round for Jackson Dart. So posting shortly is your Southern rock band of choice, Allman Brothers, Skinner.
There you go. I mean, these are pertinent questions, David. We've got to get answers to these questions.
Well, Mark, listen, if it's a choice between more NFL draft talk or Southern rock, I mean, we've been doing this a long time. Anytime we go non-sports, the phones light up, the text line lights up, Twitch chat room goes nuts. I mean, I get it. I do. But listen, take it up with Mark. He's the music aficionado on this show. He does not think there is another Southern rock band worthy of being in the poll question. He thinks it's either or. So take it up with him.
Yeah, 21,000 is the text line. That Mark Miller on X. Hell, I'll give my phone number out if you want to text me during the rest of damn. I'll die on that hill. I've got no problem with that.
Now, a few people have mentioned Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Tom Petty's past the Southern rock movement. The Southern rock movement was before that. It was. Tom Petty is Southern. Yes, he's from Jacksonville, but Tom Petty was, raised on a lot of this Southern rock. Great. I love Tom Petty. I mean, who doesn't?
I just
was lucky enough to see him.
Just, bringing it up. I will say that honor to Tom Petty that Gator fans organically created at the end of the third quarter of their home games, that's one of the best damn things that I've seen in sports this century. And we were lucky enough, we were doing the first home game after Tom Petty died. And at the end of the third quarter, that used to be the designated time for each band to like get 90 seconds. Not on the field, obviously, but in the stands. And I forget who the road team was that day, but the band starts playing and the Gator fans start loudly booing. And you could tell it rattled the opposing band. They were like, oh, what are we getting booed for? This is, standard material. And somebody must have explained to somebody, yeah, Tom Petty died on Tuesday and he was a Gainesville guy. And we're going to honor him and we're going to sing one of his songs right now. And you're going to shut that up. And what is it? Don't Back Down that they do? Goosebumps. I have goosebumps now just thinking about it. I mean, you think about all the tradition that is in sport, how much tradition has been created in the 2020s. And I think they will be singing Don't Back Down, all right, after the third quarter at Gator home games 50 plus years from now.
Yeah, there are a couple that have happened this century. That is certainly one. The others at Iowa and I don't know if there's anything that can rank up to what they do at Hawkeye games at the end of the first quarter.
The Children's Hospital with the wave. Yeah, absolutely.
And I got to think you were there this year for the first time and saw it in person.
That's emotional.
I've got to think it brought goosebumps, if not a damn swelling of a tear to your eye.
It did both. Absolutely.
And to a lesser extent, because of Tom Petty being tied in as a Florida guy and Iowa doing it with the hospital. And come on, we all know how I think about the University of Michigan. But Mr. Brightside at the Big House is cool. It is. And I hate it. I hate that they did it because I love the song.
I love the fact that, Mark, and you would get and I don't know if you've seen it in person yet, but you got 108,000. And it's everybody under 40 is the one doing it. Well, most of the crowd's 40 plus. And so I love the fact that 75 to 80,000 people are sitting there, not singing, looking around at the damn kids these days who are going nuts singing Mr. Brightside.
Miller and Moulton. Another poll question is up. 38 Special is not even on the list with Allman Brothers and Leonard Skinnard. And to the person who said the Eagles, they were founded in California, for the love of God.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Marc Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. Marc Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
Well, Paul, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if every Southern rock band has Skinner connections. There's been 700 people in that band since they all died in a plane crash, first off. But to put 38 Special in the same sentence with the Allman Brothers and Leonard Skinner, to me, is laughable. I mean, absolutely laughable. 38 Special was more of a pop band than a Southern rock band to me. I mean, you want to go Molly Hatchet, Marshall Tucker. Someone put Little Feat on there. That's actually a pretty good call. But they're not in the same league as these bands. They're just not. That's so hard. It depends on the day, baby Jules, because I love the Allman Brothers. I can put on different albums and listen start to finish. I mean, Whoopin' Post in the right mood is just such an amazing song. But I also love Melissa. I love Dreams. I love In Memory of Elizabeth Reed. I love Jessica. I think the Allmans are just an amazing rock and roll band. And the fact that Dwayne Allman played with Eric Clapton on the Derek and the Dominoes album, and you listen to the slide guitar on all of that, it's just stupid good. Now, my favorite Skynyrd song is, I actually have one. That's the Ballad of Curtis Lowe. That's far and away my favorite Skynyrd song.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Been a fun show. Thanks so much for being with us this final Thursday of April, the draft in about 10 and a half hours. We have five poll questions having to do with the draft and inspired by JP Shadrick's guest appearance 35 minutes ago, in which he went to New York City a week or so ago and saw the Allman Brothers, special performances called Brothers at Madison Square Garden, the Brothers concerts. And it inspired Mark to ask, best Southern rock band, Allman Brothers or Skynyrd?
I'm a little worried because Skynyrd's off to a really good start. And I don't think that's the right answer. Great band. Probably bigger hits with Sweet Home Alabama and Freebird than maybe anything the Allmans did.
Right. I will be very curious, JP's vote. He's from Alabama. Okay. He obviously spent a few bucks to go into New York City last week and see these two shows and to stay and get there and all that. But he's an alum of the University of Alabama where, that Skynyrd ditty, they play about a half hour before kickoff, that whole Sweet Home Alabama thing. It's fairly popular. Sweet Home Alabama, roll tide, roll. Right. Mm-hmm.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
And today was the day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. 427-3441. That's 239-427-3441. Online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton. Get a 10% discount on your service. All right, we start today in 1888. Eastman Kodak, founded by George Eastman.
Man, they had a great run.
They really did.
They had a great run, but boy, when it dried up, it dried up.
Yes, it did. Today in 1898, Spain declares war after rejecting the U.S. ultimatum to withdraw from Cuba. Probably not a good idea for Spain.
No, I mean, it's basically a home game for us. I mean, what are you doing?
The Woolworth Building opened in New York City today in 1913. With a cost of $13.5 million at 792 feet, it was then the world's tallest building. When you see those buildings and look at they were built over 100 years ago, I do wonder how the hell they did it. It's one thing today to build these huge skyscrapers with all the engineers and computer technology and the materials that we have and cranes. 1913, an 800-foot tall building.
Mark, the bridges in New York City,
right?
The subways around the city, Mount Rushmore. Okay. And people died doing Mount Rushmore. And you just look and you go, man, how did they even get started?
How?
Right.
When you're in D.C. and see all the great monuments.
Yep.
How the hell did they do that? It's incredible to me. 1953, Winston Churchill knighted by Queen Elizabeth II.
What the hell took them so long? I got them through World War II, for goodness sakes. They waited 8 years? What? Was there a statute of limitations? Is this like, the Baseball Hall of Fame? You have 5 years done for being prime minister? I mean, what?
Presidential Medal of Freedom, knighted. Which would you choose?
Oh, my mother may disown me because she hates the Brits. But Mark, come on. Is there anything cooler than being called Sir Nick Faldo? Okay.
In the Baseball Hall of Fame, or you were knighted?
Yeah, give me the Sir. Give me the Sir.
I would Baseball Hall of Fame on you too.
I I spent an hour with Faldo at a bar at I forget the hotel, really good one in Atlanta, and I just talked to him about being called sir. All right, and I go, do you ever insist on it? Do you ever get tired of it? That sort of deal. He goes, I never insist on it. He goes, but no. He goes, you can call me sir anytime. And remember, we were trying to get him in a Super Bowl one year, and we were going around, and he was with a PR person. He was not stopping for anyone. And one of us yelled out, Sir Nick, and he stopped on a dime and turned and looked at us.
Didn't get the interview, but he at least acknowledged Sir Nick.
Yep.
Today in 1963, Bob Cousy plays his last game for the Celtics. They would beat the Lakers by 3 in Game 6 for their 5th straight NBA championship. That's how you go out.
Beating the Lakers, yeah.
Today in 1974, the NFL grants the franchise to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Cool.
1982, there was a new workout in our world.
Oh, my goodness.
It was on the VHS.
Yep.
And it was Jane Fonda, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, my goodness.
Her first workout tape was released today.
It did wonders for her because remember her popularity at SAG, being the whole anti-war person, and people were down on her. And then all of a sudden she does this, video. And yeah. Mm-hmm. Those socks were really, really high.
Awful.
Yes.
Awful. 1994, Dan Wilkinson, the first pick by the Bengals. 2004, Eli Manning, the first pick by the San Diego Chargers.
That's right.
Shirley MacLaine is 91. Barbara Streisand is 83. Chipper Jones is 53. Lee Westwood, 52. Kelly Clarkson, 43. And Lydia Ko is 28 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Well, since my mother's disowning me because I, am going, sir, Mom, today, this was, 1916, Easter Monday in Dublin. Okay. When the Irish, jumped up against the Brits. Okay. That's for you, Mom. Hope you keep me in the family. Easter Rising, they call it.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Marc Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do you got, Marc?
I don't know if it's good, and I struggled to find a fun, good story today, so I went with this one. This is more fun to me. We go to Duluth, Georgia, where, according to the Duluth Police Department on social media, numerous calls came in to the police department reporting a loose goat trotting on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, and I quote, like it had somewhere very important to be.
Was it like Shaq going to the bathroom or faster? What are we talking?
They have dubbed the goat the Hoofed Houdini because they can't catch it. It's been running loose from Duluth to Suwanee and thus far evading authorities. We will keep you updated of the very loose Hoofed Houdini.
Unbelievable.
For the bad, we go to Melbourne, Florida, where Caitlin Dye was arrested on a charge of DUI. While that may not be unusual for someone in Florida, it's a little different for Caitlin because she was at a house party on her route with the Postal Service, then got back in her truck and continued to deliver mail.
Yeah, you can't do that.
She was caught driving the wrong way in traffic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Finally, the ugly. We bring it back home to Lee County, where 21-year-old Christian Moreno decided it would be fun to throw rocks at drivers on Palm Beach Boulevard. He damaged a bunch of vehicles, fortunately did not injure anyone. When police came, he ran. They finally were able to take him down. He, of course, was trespassing at that point, trying to get away. and had 2 counts of a weapon offense, which is throwing a missile into a dwelling, vehicle, or aircraft. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Thursday, April the 24th, here on Miller and Moulton.
Well, you got the draft tonight. It begins at 8. Is that on ABC or is that just an ESPN thing? Yeah, they've started simulcasting that the last couple of years. It's also, if you don't like ESPN's coverage, it's on NFL Network. 8 p.m. is when it starts. Obviously, you got pre-shows and all that. First round usually takes 11:30. They should be done right around there. All right. Baseball, you got 9 games, 5 in the afternoon. Rays are in action tonight, 9:40 in Arizona against the Diamondbacks. But 9 games today, 5 in the afternoon. None of them nationally televised unless you count MLB Network. Mark, 3 NBA playoff games. You'll have one of your TVs on the first one, 7 o'clock TNT, Knicks Pistons. The doubleheader game is OKC at Memphis at 9:30 on TNT. And the Denver Clippers game is getting the NBA TV treatment at 10. That is stunning. They've played 2 terrific games, 2 evenly matched teams. Jokic, Kawhi, and
OKC. I mean, you've got the best player on the planet on one team. Kawhi, when he's at his best, which he is right now, is still a top 10 player in the league, maybe a top 6 player in the league.
And I get it. SGA, OKC, the best team in the league, Ja. But the first 2 games of the series, OKC's won by 70 total points. What are we doing here? But TNT double dip, Knicks Pistons, Thunder Grizzlies, 7, 9:30. And then if you want, NBA TV for Nuggets Clippers. 4 hockey games. 4. 2 networks you need to know about. The networks are TBS and ESPN2. The TBS doubleheader, 6:30 and 9. Panthers Lightning at 6:30 on TBS. Golden Knights Wild at 9. Our buddy John Forslund will have the call on TBS at 9 o'clock. The ESPN2 doubleheader, Toronto, Ottawa at 7 on the Deuce, followed by Winnipeg, St. Louis at 9:30. So if there's a Canadian team involved, they're on ESPN2. If there's not a Canadian team involved, the game's on TBS.
Panthers and Lightning, a must win for the Lightning. Down 1-0 at home. They go down 2-0 to Florida. That would mean they'd have to win 4 out of 5 against the defending champs. It does not seem likely. They did not look good in game 1. They played I thought, a terrific 12 to 15 minutes in the first period. But other than that, Florida dominated the game in every facet. Vasilevsky was bad. No 2 ways about it. As well as he played all season long, he may have had his worst performance of the year in the playoff game. The Tampa defense didn't do a damn thing to help. They were 3 for 3 on the power play, were the Panthers, and Tampa looked lost throughout the second period. Their game plan tonight, I will be interested to see. They can't out-hit Florida, but they have to be more physical than they were in game 1.
I picked the Panthers to win the series, but I've got to believe the Lightning win tonight because they have to know it's their season.
So looking forward to that at 6:30. You know, David, you mentioned the Pistons and Knicks. It's a 1.5 point spread. The Knicks are favored by 1.5. I know it's in Detroit, but with the way Thibodeau kind of already outwardly outed the officials and trying to lobby for calls, if you're betting that game, don't you have to bet the Knicks tonight?
Well, I think you bet them because they're the better team until proven otherwise. And even though Detroit's been the better team for much more of the first 2 games than the Knicks, sometimes, Mark, I think a home loss can wake a team up. So, like, to me, if the Knicks lose tonight, they're in deep trouble. Deep trouble. I expect the Knicks to come back. They played bad basketball. They didn't move the ball around. Okay, Brunson was a ball hog. I expect them to play much better tonight. They figured out how to hold Detroit down scoring-wise. All right. I expect the Knicks to win tonight. But we'll see.
I would think Karl Anthony Towns is going to have a much better game tonight than he had in game 2. I would actually be curious what his point number was for a prop bet. I may lean over on that one, but I would definitely take the Knicks tonight. But it's the draft that you're probably most interested in. It gets going at 8. We think it doesn't start until at least pick 4, maybe pick 5. Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow to break down the first round, as well as Chris Perkins to talk draft from a Dolphins perspective. Have a great day. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, tadalafil, and Viagra, sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American-made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.